Yo, what's good, everybody? We here.
Hello,
We here.
we are here.
We here.
We are here. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us, you and I. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's
Another week.
go.
TTE Talks, episode 17. We are in here, man. As
Let's
y'all
go.
see, it's different faces today. We got
Mhm.
some bones to pick today because we got a week 5 matchup coming up with my Eagles, who have been landing lately, not
Yes.
flying,
Yes. He
and
said
his
landing lady.
and
The
his
uproar, baby.
his
I'm the uproar,
Panthers,
baby.
who've been on the uproar. They've been pounding. They ran into a Dallas team this week that was just. I mean, I think if the Panthers was healthy, obviously we'll talk about that later.
No. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
We'll
We'll
talk
talk
about that
about
later.
that. Everything good with you? Everything good with you?
Everything
Your
cool,
way?
man. Everything
I know
cool.
next week we get a week off. I know next week we get a week off, so it's not like we're gonna miss each other because we text every day. But you know what I'm saying? Next week we get a week off for everybody come back. Question on live now, live accountability. How's it going? Doing something for your damn self?
Man, that's actually what I wanted to start off with, man. After last week's
Okay.
episode, I stopped and I had a 15-minute just mediation with myself, and I was like, man, I I can always call it out for myself, but to have somebody else that that you rock with heavy call it out for
Yeah.
you, that
Yeah.
changed everything, man. It's been going great. It's been going great.
That's good.
It's been going great. How about you, man? How's doing it for your
For
damn
me,
self?
oh yeah. So for me, getting back to reading, it's been a struggle. Like it hasn't been as fluid as it once was when I felt like I was at my most having fun with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cause like especially on breaks at work, you just kind of like I'm like, oh, let me do this, let me do that. You know what I'm saying? Or like I'll just run a couple games of Among Us just cause like it kills my break time the fastest.
Hmm.
But now I'm starting to realize like, you know what? There is a discipline behind doing this too, and it is a time where I got to say, hey, some of this stuff has to get put down, so I can make sure I'm making this priority and I'm not distracting myself with just unbeneficial habits. Not that they're bad habits, but saying like, can I actually be doing something just a little more productive during this time? And knowing when to plan out my personal rest time and my personal discipline time and just personal time on my own.
I agree
And
with that,
so,
man.
definitely finding that thin line of saying like, all right, there's a time to chill, and it's like, all right, when are you chilling too much? And there's a time to grind, and like, when are you over grind? It's always finding that line for yourself and learning. It's different in each season. You know, it might look
Oh
different
yeah.
this week than it will next week. You know what I'm saying? Each week is a little demanding differently. So just making sure that being honest and then thank God for you guys and other men around it to be like, hey, am I out of pocket here? Am I out of pocket there? Am I wrong here? Am I wrong there? What's going on? And just to get that honest feedback, so like, all right, cool, we can
Yeah.
do that.
I think I unintentionally prepared myself because I deleted all the social media notifications for like a solid month, and I ain't
Yeah,
been on social media for real.
yeah,
But But man, it's crazy how much you miss and how much is fact and how much is just fiction or just all talk
yeah,
when you
yeah, yeah, yeah,
delete
yeah,
all of that. But
yeah.
all right, man, we're gonna get into the part that everybody really tap in for real, for real. Is I got some this or that questions. If you got some, let's throw them out there. I ain't even answered these yet. I had somebody put them together for me. I had Selena shoot me some questions so that I'm answering in real time. I had
Okay,
some of my other sports homies shoot me some. But the first one is overly optimistic or overly pessimistic?
optimistic. Always gonna look on the high side. Always gonna look on the high side.
For
Always.
sure.
I think I could win the Super Bowl every year. I'm always gonna look. I'm always gonna look on the high side. Always, always.
I agree. I agree. Overly optimistic for sure. Um. All right. Uh. No company or bad company. And I think
No,
this
no company.
no company.
No.
I
I
agree with
don't
that as
even think you
well.
have to explain that like at all. I don't think you have to explain that at all. Like I don't think there's no guidelines that's gonna make me be like, either never see nobody ever again, or you just have to see bad people once a week. Like I don't never want to see the bad people or the bad company in my Like I just rather be by myself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's got to be some weird like guideline to make me be like I would prefer bad company. No.
All right, this is one going into the anime world just a little bit. If you could bring back one character so that they could have a child in Boruto, who would that be, and what would be their place in the world of the Shinobis?
If I
This
could bring back one person,
this is assuming that everybody's caught up, and if you're not, I don't even care. We're gonna spoil it for you. But if you could bring back
okay,
one person in the Shinobi world to have a child to be in the Boruto series, who would it be, and what would their place be?
who would it be and what would their place be? So for me, instantly, it would have to be somebody who we don't know much about.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
So like it has to be somebody we don't know much about. And so like so for like for example, let's say if I bring Green back, like what is
Ooh,
what does that do to how does that affect Obito's story?
yeah,
Or like what if I can't say Minato, even though he's the only person we've heard from the Namikaze clan. We don't know nothing else about who they are.
zero.
Yeah, we don't know nothing else about who, which is why I feel like there has to be a plot hole with them because we don't know nothing about them. We really don't. I wish there was another Uzumaki around, not Naruto, because
Oh,
we
that's
talk about
true.
how the Leaf took out the Uchiha. The Five Nations ganged up on the Uzumaki clan. Like the Five Nations said,
They
"Yeah, I
had to be
can't."
different. They had to be
Yeah,
different.
and Minato said it. A lot of his jutsu that he got, well, not his jutsu, but they said he had like thousands of sealing jutsu just from the Uzumaki clan. And so you're just kind of like, yo, like they had something there. I don't know. If I had to bring back one person off the strength to have a child, though, actually, I don't think I would bring back a person. I would say give Kakashi one.
Ooh,
I would say
Kakashi.
get yeah for the person who lost everybody, never had anybody, and I mean, yeah, he had Team Seven, but he lost his parents. Like, I feel like that would have been a fulfillment on ends in a way.
I agree with that. So Bala said Neji.
Yeah, Neji.
Ooh, I would have to go with, man. I would almost say Obito. I mean, I feel like his ending was like perfect for what it was, but there's so much more behind that story that I think needs to evolve.
Yeah,
Get that man a son. The Uchiha
yeah.
clan is reborn. Are misquoted movies or mistaken lyrics. And this is imagine you in the Xbox party with TTE, and you over here trying to be cool, and you either misquote a movie or you misquote a lyric.
That goes bad in both parties.
Man, you getting roasted regardless.
Yeah, that goes bad both ways. So let me see. Misquoted movies or lyrics. God, two is gonna have a field day with you with either one.
Man.
You wasn't in the party during the Hip Hop Anonymous.
Oh, I was.
Oh God, that's a misquote. That was a misquoted movie and song in the same. And we
It,
went for hours. We
man,
went for hours on that. God,
that carried over to like two other parties.
yeah. Oh
While I said
man,
lyric, fun times all
lyric.
around. Sheesh.
Yeah, I think you gotta. I think you gotta go lyric. I think you gotta go lyric.
Man, yeah. I think there's been a couple people that have misquoted lyrics that we stayed on for hours.
Yeah, yeah. You get hit easy. I think a lyric is easier to catch because a movie. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I think of the lyric. Yeah, lyric. I'm gonna go lyric.
All right, all right. All right, here goes one. Lamar Odom in today's game or Joel Embiid in the 2000s.
Lamar Odom in today's. Lamar Odom was ahead of his time. Easily. Easily.
Who
Joel can't go
who
back.
who would you compare?
Joel
Who
can't
would
go
you
back.
compare Lamar to?
Joel can't go back, Goose. Who?
Not to like the Shaq era, going into like that weird. We don't know what's happening next, but we know that Kobe's scoring hella points right now and carrying this booty
So
Lakers
who's he
team.
gonna run into? So who's he gonna run into? Prime Chris Bosh and the Raptors?
Yeah, pretty much.
Prime Chris Bosh and the Raptors. That's probably like pre KG Timberwolves. That's still like a Duncan Spurs.
Duncan Spurs, yep.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think.
Yeah, I
I
would
don't
say a
think.
Duncan
I don't think
Spurs.
there's no way. I don't think there's no era you can move Embiid back and him still be perceived as he is today.
I
You
totally
can push
agree
him
with
back
that.
early 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s. You take Joel back, he's not the process. You know what I'm saying? Like he might have had a nickname because of the team and all that stuff, but he's not gonna be that dude. He's not gonna be a top. You know what I'm saying? Big, but Lamar was 6'9". You know what I'm saying? Handling the rock, mid range, doing everything, bro. Absolutely no weakness to his game. Um, dang, if I had to look now, and God, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that because that was just like the first person that came to mind.
You was gonna say KD, huh?
Nah, because I don't think he
I'm about to
was
say.
he was nowhere near as fluid. KD's just a special shooter, so you can't compare any type of shooting to that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The moves, yeah, but when I look at like Lamar pulling up and stuff like that, like KD just separates himself there. Ah, man, if I really had to compare Lamar to somebody now,
Probably say Lamar easy.
man, so I'm not even gonna lie. The very, very, very first person who I thought about, the very first person who I thought about would just be like a 2, 3. He's obviously a couple inches taller, but was Paul George.
Ooh. Probably say he's kind of like a Cam Johnson.
Sort of, because like Paul George isn't as tall as he was, but and I could say he has like a little more wiggle, a little more smoothness to his game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's just the transition time. But from when Odom was handling the ball, and here comes Iverson, I think that just kind of just transitioned.
Yeah.
I don't. I think if Lamar was now, his handles would look like that too. Uh,
Ooh, Paul George.
but he's
Okay.
taller. He's like 2, 3 inches taller than Paul George though. And I have to still honor the fact that Lamar really could handle the rock and go in traffic. He's not as stiff as Giannis. He shoots better than Giannis. Yeah, I think he was even as strong as Giannis. Like if I look at it, go back and think about it, but he's not
He
as
was guard
stiff.
1 through 5.
Yeah, he's not as stiff, but he's as fluid as George was. But like he just didn't look as smooth.
And
Again, I just
he would
think
be such a complete player today's game.
complete. Again, my homie had to put me on that. He was ahead of his time. He was 100% ahead of his time.
Lamar Odom, he is now 3-0 undefeated in amateur boxing.
Yeah,
It's ugly. All right,
yeah.
last one. This is one we both did TikToks on. And we need to talk about this just a little bit more. Just a few minutes more than the 3 minutes allows on TikTok. Start one,
Yep.
bench one, cut one. Donovan Mitchell, John Morant, and De'Aaron Fox.
So I'm always gonna go to the first thing I've been saying, and I've been saying it since we brought it up, and since I told y'all about Ben Simmons getting traded for Fox. De'Aaron Fox had a career year, and they couldn't be in the top 10 in the West. When you have a player that has a career year, but it's not moving the needle of a team that you are, get him out of there. Now I can 100% stand here and tell you today, I think Memphis is a better organization than the Kings because Memphis always builds a good team. And every person they seem to draft seems to hit on, and they get the most of them out of it. But Ja's been to the playoffs. Ja's making a push for some people, and he's not as much as you could talk about them being similar athletically. I think Ja may be more aware of when and how to make his team be more beneficial
Yeah.
than what Fox is. That's why I'm like, I don't think I love Fox. I don't think I don't think he should be a number one guy. I think he's a hell of a number 2 guy because I think if he was that dope of a number 1 guy, then the King should at least have been touching the play-ins. Donovan is Donovan. Neither one of them are on Donovan's level yet. Granted, to Jai due to time constraint because he's only been in the league so long, and Donovan really is a killer. Like he really is that dude.
Man,
You just kind of look and be like, what's the Jazz gonna do with him?
yeah.
Because
I think it helps for his brand the fact that he's on the Jazz, right?
yeah,
Like they can't say like no one can make the argument saying that Donnie's on a big market team with big names. The next big name around him is Rudy Gobert,
yeah,
and then the drop off is significant to Mike Conley.
yeah.
So
And which is the problem when we always talk about having your floor and your ceiling. Donovan gives you consistent top 20, top 10, even maybe have a season where he's MVP like in the Jazz. But then you surround him with players who say, hey, this team isn't meant to be great, but this team is damn sure going to be good.
man.
You know what I'm saying? Because Conley, he's a winning player. All them players around him, Neil, who else? I don't want to butcher Bogdanovich, right? Like these
Bogdanovich.
are these are winning players who you say, yo, these are championship players, but we all know you gotta have some guy that kind of pushes your ceiling over and says, if this guy explodes, if this guy blows, that's how like we can be this good. And on that team, it's just we have an all-star, we have an all-NBA player, and then we have some really, really great players. And you're almost the Bucks of the West because your team will only be so good for you'll never be bad. You'll always be a playoff team, but you have to find a way to be like, damn, is Rudy Gobert being Defensive Player of the Year actually holding our ceiling back as a team?
Yeah,
You
you're
know what I'm
gonna be an
saying?
in season contender, but nothing beyond that. 'Cause
Nothing beyond that.
I hate this every season. They do this. The NBA narratives do this every single year. The Jazz are in the top 3 power rankings throughout the whole
All
season.
the time.
Get to the playoffs, choke, 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 choke.
So
So
and so for me as a GM and an owner, you kind of I think at that point that's when you ask yourself, I don't ask the players, I ask the owner. Does the owner just care enough to make this team competitive to keep people in the seats?
yeah,
Or do they actually want rings? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, do they actually want rings? And then you could see by two different GMs and owners who wants what. Because I think some teams are very, very content with just saying, "Hey, y'all love coming to see us. We'll keep together a watchable team,
yeah,
and that's it."
yeah.
I think
Look,
the Jazz might be one of the highest season ticket sellers, like on the average,
oh yeah,
like continuous season ticket holders.
oh yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? If you're not affecting my money, why would I change anything?
It
I'm
helps too
still
that the
getting
Miller
paid.
family sold the team, so they have a new owner. The new owner brought in Dwayne Wade to be a consultant and a player. What was it, like a player development coach? So I don't even think he's a coach. I think he's an investor to the team. He's like an
Yeah,
advisor, which I
which
think
is
was a huge
weird.
move. It was
No,
a
it's
huge
a
move,
huge
but it was
move.
weird.
Yeah, but it's weird because then you're like, well, LeBron, Cuz ain't gonna give LeBron no stake in the Cavs, but you know LeBron's gonna own a team somewhere. So you're kind of like, who is he gonna own? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because you're like, Gilbert ain't gonna slide over and let LeBron come over there.
yeah.
Like he's not gonna do it. Actually, I think I just saw an article that said he's now the second rich, one of the top 5 richest sports owners,
Hmm.
sports team owners. This dude's still making money, and he's gonna forever make money. And so I kind of asked that was something that's kind of just quick thought with like, yo, 10, 15 years from now, some of these some of these players that we look up to, they're like Dwayne, they're gonna have a team or they're gonna have a stake in a team.
Yeah,
And I think that's gonna kind of change how maybe 10-ish years from now what the NBA starts to look like.
I agree. I agree for sure. We'll save a lot of the NBA talk. We're gonna get into that. We're going through the Western Conference today. Let's hop into the
Yeah.
NFL, man. That not as a as hot topic as a this or that as a our dude Bali be bringing to the table, but
Yeah.
I'll do better next week, Bali. Going into the NFL, man, week 4, an interesting week in football.
Interesting.
Interesting week in football. There was a lot of games that were up in the air. There are some games that are just like, did that really happen? But one of the games that stood out for me was looking at the Titans and the Jets.
Oh my god, bro.
Let's talk about
What
the
are the
Titans
Jets?
and the Jets, man.
I like
Let's talk
avoiding
about
that
that.
game. I
That
avoided that game.
that game was the dirtiest game I've seen of football in a long time, man.
I didn't even try to
Derrick
watch the
Henry
highlights.
Derrick Henry did his Derrick Henry thing. You know what I mean? He came out, he got like 30 something carries. How many carries did he get? He got 33 carries, 157
Yeah,
yards, one touchdown.
he's like 100+ yards over the next person in rushing leaders. Also,
Yeah, he's leading the league by a lot.
yeah, it's like they got his foot on the gas over there. So
Um,
looking around, somebody said that the Titans is really a 3-man team, and if
yeah.
Julio, AJ, and Henry aren't playing, they're just that's it. They're not ready to withstand nothing else.
I don't even think Julio Jones played.
That's what I'm saying. I think they said that him and AJ was out that game,
Yeah.
which again it was like, yo, the Titans is clearly a maybe. Maybe Vrabel just don't care, bro. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Vrabel's like, win my division because I win my division. I'm a 4 seed. None of this matters until I get there.
Yeah.
Maybe because I could see him saying that I'm gonna win my division because I win my division. I'll be a 4 seed, and then I'll have Tannehill, Julio, AJ, and Henry ready to go. But until then, I don't care if I win my division at 9-8. That's almost the attitude I feel like they're at right now.
Yeah, they're
I
very
just don't
underwhelming,
care.
man. They remind
Yeah,
me very heavily of like, and I always like to compare NFL teams to NBA teams of times past because like I know what that looks like, but the grit they remind me of the damn Grizzlies with Zebo, Mark Gasol,
yeah,
Tony Allen.
yeah,
Like outside of Mark Gasol, Zebo, and who else was a scorer over there? Mike Conley.
yeah,
That was a 300 monster on offense. Outside of
yeah,
them, you ain't getting no
yeah.
buckets.
You're not getting nothing else. Yeah, it's a. I'm gonna be more interested in how they look the last 4 weeks of the year
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I know for a fact Vrabel knows you can't walk into the playoffs slouching.
yeah,
So if we get to the last 4 weeks of the year and they start blowing people out, then I'll be like, yeah, I don't think he gave a damn in the beginning of the year. They knew they was gonna win their division, be a 4 seed, and now they're ready for the playoffs. That's how I kind of feel like they're approaching this. Colts is 1-3, Texans is 1-3, and the Jags is 0-4.
yeah.
And I just don't. Yeah. So again, that's just my stance right now in week 4. The last 4 weeks of the year, I'm gonna be like, let me see how good they are. Let me see if they're still playing like this. Because I think we all know that there should be another level that they actually should offensively should be playing at. So
So
if the last four
they'll be
weeks,
one
if
of
the
those
last
teams
four
that we
weeks,
watch going into the end of the
yeah,
season.
yeah. If the last 4 weeks they start blowing teams out, I'm gonna be like, all right, they was waiting to put on the gas because they just knew they was gonna have it.
Yeah. Bala says the Colts win that division if they lose the easy ones like those. Ooh, I mean the Colts are starting to get it together. But they are
Slowly.
an injury away from just blowing up the whole season, and that continues to
Yeah.
remain with the same dude that's always injured in Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Another one of the games that actually surprised me was the Ravens and the Broncos. That game, actually, before we move to that, I need to say that Ryan Tannehill is extremely Alex Smithish.
He's always been though.
Extremely Alex Smithish. And I
He
say
just
that,
he just had Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I say that because I'm still salty Marcus Mariota lost his job.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no.
That's
Ryan
just me.
Tannehill is. Ryan Tannehill is. But remember, Alex Smith was about 2 times he was a player series away from beating the Pats. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Oh,
He was
yeah.
really, really close. He was really like Alex Smith was maxed on the best that he was gonna do. And Ryan Tannehill is maxed on the best that we're gonna see. And now you played your very best and your defense is nowhere near as good as it was when you played your very best. So
Yeah.
you're extremely limited now, even with the addition of Julio.
The
So
danger with those quarterbacks too is you give them so many weapons and they don't produce. That's not
yeah,
on anyone but the quarterback.
but the quarterback,
Like you can
yeah,
call it an offensive scheme, but to a point, to an extent, as a quarterback, you got to make a play.
yeah,
He just ain't doing that.
he's been sacked the most too.
Damn,
Yeah, he's been sacked the most. When I went up to look up that stat, I think he's been sacked like 17 times,
that's
close to
tough.
17 times. So yeah, I think he's by far the most sacked quarterback.
But the other game that surprised me was the Ravens and the Broncos. Mainly because the Broncos are at home. They always got that advantage being at a higher altitude. Ravens came
Yeah.
in. Lamar threw for 3+,
Mhm.
threw for 300+. So maybe that's the
Hey,
birth of something different.
This dude Hollywood Brown drops a lot. Like if you go look through this year, there's at
Man,
least like 5 gimme touchdowns he dropped. He just
yep.
drops them. He just drops them, bro. I wish I could say it anything else, but he really does. Like he just drops them. He just drops them.
And they're still 3-1.
Yeah. I'm not shocked by the Ravens beating Denver. I'm not shocked that Denver is 3-1 because again, they really are just a quarterback away from being a contender. You know what I'm saying? We were screaming like, yo, if Aaron Rodgers went to Denver, that'd be a Super Bowl caliber team. They have everything but the quarterback. But Teddy's limit. I don't even want to say Teddy's limited. He's hurt. Like he's hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like this was expected for me to be like, yo, he's gonna get hurt somewhere around the line because
Yeah,
he
I think
just does.
Drew Lock ended up finishing out the game the last quarter.
And and now everybody's like has accepted that Drew Lock's buns to them. You know what I'm saying? Like Drew Lock is just done. So they are limited. They're the 49ers of the AFC, limited by quarterback. So
Yeah, what game stood out to you, man? What were one of the games that you looked at that you watched that your eyes was peeled out the whole time?
Arizona Rams, Cardinals Rams, because specifically because of one thing, and it was something that Dallas did to us, and it's something that started to change my mind on two things completely. Just as a fan of the game, watching the game, do we continue to crown the number one team because you beat up the bully on the block, or when do we actually say this is the best team in the NFL? Rams beat the Bucks, and we was all like, "Oh dang, Rams is the truth."
Yeah.
Arizona goes in and beats the Rams the very next week, and none of us was like, "Yo, Cardinals are the truth." We just was like, "Is this a bad game?" So, and then like everybody's giving a bailout for the Rams.
Yeah.
Oh, they just came off a letdown game. They put all their energy into the Bucks, and yo, you don't win a Super Bowl in week 3, week 4. These storylines is made up from y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you guys make up the storylines. You put up the emphasis. We know you can only play who's in front of you. Schedules come out in March. Like schedules been out. You know what I'm saying? You didn't pick or select who you got to play. So one thing that the Cardinals did to the Rams and what Dallas did to us, both teams had over 200 yards rushing. Both of these teams were not teams when you looked at week 1 would have said these teams are capable of 200 yards rushing.
Facts.
They're not.
Chase
They're not.
Edmonds and John Connor.
Chase Edmonds and
John Connor hoodwinked the Pittsburgh Steelers, by the way.
Exactly. So remember, who's week 1? If I would have said, "Hey, so bet me $100 that the Cardinals and Dallas rush for over 200 yards," probably would have took that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Even you go back and look at our preview episode. We was like, "Yo, they need a running game, Jane. Like they need a running game. Like what's up with Z? They need it." But both of them this week put up 200 yards rushing. 200 yards rushing, and they won the takeaway battle. Both teams won the takeaway battle and had 200 yards rushing. A lot of the times, we love the sexy game. We love the Golden State game. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Throw
that rock. 400+ yards.
Throw the rock. 400+ yards. Clock management and ball management. It's winning the games. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's winning the games. But it's not sexy TV. This is why people still struggle with the Ravens. It's not sexy TV.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Lamar ain't gonna go out there and throw no 400 yards ever.
No, ever. But it doesn't make for sexy TV, so we don't want to talk about them. We don't want to promote them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so both of them ran for 200 yards. Both of them won the takeover battle, and so it made me sit back and be like, okay, if we play, knock off the bully, I have to say the Rams is the number one team. But then I go back and we put context to things, and be like, well, dang, they was a missed field goal away from losing to the Vikings. They were, they was down to the Jags fairly badly until the Jags turned into the Jags. And you start to
Yep.
Yeah, so now you start to put a little, and you're just like, I think for the first time in a long time, and I struggled with saying it because I told y'all before.
Because you hate that coach.
Like even with Cliff Kingsbury though, but you're just like, we so wanted to crown the Bucks the best team because they were just bringing everybody back.
Yeah.
but the Bucks didn't get hot until the right time. They are playing right now the same way they played last year in the
The
beginning of the
exact
year.
same year.
The
The
exact
exact
same
same.
way they play at the beginning of the year. So like Paula said in the comments, week
Week
10
10.
is when you week 10 like so people really should stop jumping the gun. Now me, be excited the first half of the season. You know what I'm saying? We all know, like, be excited, get in the head of the playoff picture, win the games you're supposed to win, but you really should be waiting until about week 10, week 8 at the minimum to start saying, okay, these are the best teams in the NFL. Because right now, it's a divisional game. The Giants go over there and whip Dallas behind. And then
Oh
what's the
yeah.
narrative gonna yeah, and then what's the narrative? And I don't think Daniel Jones is the problem over there. I kind of had to watch his cousin. He's
Hey,
out there kind of eating, bro. He
hey
really
man.
is. But I
Daniel
can't hate on
Jones.
that dude.
Daniel Jones is like little Eli out
Yeah,
there, man.
yeah,
He
he's
just
hella ugly. Yeah, he's hella ugly to me. Like, but he's eating, and I ain't gonna hate on the man doing his thing. Because again, they are off sides away from beating Washington, and they came back and they beat New Orleans in New Orleans. So I think some of these narratives have to think you have to find consistency. We know that's not going to come from main media. They need a storyline. They need something.
yeah.
I think you have to find. I think you have to find some consistency that says this is the measuring tape by where we say how good a team really is. Right now, no team is head over heels over anybody.
I
Everybody is a
I can
yeah,
agree with that. I can agree with that. I mean, I think the Cardinals definitely showed that, they have that big playability similar
yeah,
to
yeah,
the
yeah.
Chiefs, but I think the difference between the Cardinals and the Chiefs, Cardinals got a damn defense.
Cardinals got
They
Chiefs
can
don't
take
have
you
a
off the field.
exactly. The Chiefs had a sustainable defense the 2 years that they was there, was making their runs, but now it's depleted. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to carry you. You
Yeah.
cannot take that into to the playoffs. And so, yeah, I don't so when I think of there's no team who I'm going to stand here today and say this is the best team in the league, but I think the teams that we think of deserve to be seen as a cloud of tears that said these are some of the top dogs in the league.
Yeah.
But nobody is sitting up top.
So if
Nobody is
if,
sitting
if
up
you could
top.
give me a power 5 in no specific order, who would your power 5 be? My
Power.
for me I would look at the Chargers. The Chargers got
Mm,
to be in my power 5. The
yep.
Cardinals, the Rams still got to be up there regardless of their loss.
Yep.
I gotta look at the Packers. I don't know why, but there's something about the Packers that they're just good enough to crack that top 5 for me.
Yep.
And then that 15, I can't believe I'm gonna say this. It's the Cowboys.
So I'm gonna take the Cowboys out. I'm gonna agree with you. Chargers, Packers, Cardinals, Rams, Buccaneers. People penalize Carolina for beating Houston, but now Buffalo goes out there and 35s them, and Buffalo put on a shutout.
Yeah,
Nah, man, it has to be the same. It has to be the same across the board. You
you
know what I'm
got to keep
saying?
that consistency.
Yeah, it has to be the consistency.
Honestly, I can just as easily. So I was back and forth between putting Carolina in there over the Cowboys. But I'm looking at week 5. I'm looking at injuries. I'm looking at what the current team looks
Yeah,
like. That's the only reason that I don't even have the Bucks in the top 6. They're
yeah.
my 7th team.
I do keep the Bucks at 5 strictly off stability and what I know they could be towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
I can't put Dallas because, like we all know, Dallas buckles.
they're
Dallas
going to let you
buckles.
down sooner or
Yeah,
later.
Dallas buckles. And again, I told y'all this. Me and Deuce have told y'all this. Carolina's worst quarter is always our third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's the quarter. We went into halftime up. We came out the third quarter. Absolutely horrible. Worst case scenario happens. They run it up. But
So
like you
bad.
said, nobody wants to mention that the 4 players we were missing, and now I get to say Gilmore because if we was to see Dallas in the playoffs again, even in Dallas, full strength, running Dallas off the field. I don't even doubt that. I don't even doubt that we would run Dallas off the field. If you tell me right now I get to see Dallas again in Dallas in January with C Mac, Horn, Gilmore, and YGM, and the Henderson that's actually had weeks, I'm running Dallas off the field. Like that's how I feel. You know what I'm
Y'all
saying?
lost what,
Right?
28-36?
28-36.
And I mean, some of those were just simply just coverage
Yeah.
breaks, lazy plays. You could tell these dudes in the secondary didn't have as many repetitions together, so there
No,
wasn't a
no, no,
lot
no,
of
no.
over the top safety coverage
Hey,
where there should have been.
hey, I will be 100% honest. Dallas whooped us up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
We're fast. We're fast. How do you neutralize a fast team? Stop trying to run around them. Just go through
Run
them. You
right
know what
at
I'm
their
saying?
face.
Yeah. Yeah, just go through them. You know what I'm saying? Hey, over and over it. Oh, Marshawn Lynch.
Yep.
Oh, and yeah, and they did that. They did that. They had 100 in the first, like 130 in the first, and they had, like almost the same in the second. They got us in the beginning, but we were still up at halftime. And I can literally tell you, go if you just want to see a breakdown of the worst that Carolina can be with what we have. Just go watch the last 3 minutes of the first half in the third quarter, and you will be like, okay, I know 100% what these dudes are talking about. We
Mm-hmm.
had, for real, we had 2:50 left, ball. If that you would expect, run it up, get a field goal, and we get the ball back. Run it up, get a field goal. We go 3-and-out. Dallas gets the ball back. Praying to God, Dallas, please don't score. We 3-and-out Dallas. We get the ball back with a minute left. 2 sacks in a row. I'm like, boom, come out the half. Exact same thing. 2 quick 3-and-outs. You cannot go 5 possessions empty-handed against any good team.
Right.
Against any good team, you cannot go 5 possessions empty-handed. And that's why I always have my issue with coordinators and coach, because that's your job to figure that out and prepare people.
Yeah,
I don't
especially
see,
especially
I
going
don't,
into week 4, you should already know
yeah,
after the first 3 weeks that all right, we're stagnant in the third quarter. We need something to come
yep,
out and give us a
yep,
spark. Who's that guy to come
yep.
out and give us that
And,
spark?
and for me, I think it's a sense of pridefulness and lack of being prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff you don't see stuff like that with, even as much as we talk about them. A 2 minute drill with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, a 2 minute drill with Bruce Arians and Tom Brady to end the half and to open the half. They're gonna go get 7 points or at least three in the beginning and three in the end
Yep.
because they got back-to-back possessions. You don't see great coaches and quarterbacks missing that opportunity, and that's the separator. Is you're like, people know certain people had the ball at the end of the game in a situation like, yo, I know they're gonna pull this out. I don't have that type of confidence. I don't believe
Yeah.
in those guys like that. There's certain people you don't do that.
I
Dallas
never
ran the
I never
ball.
thought I'd
Yeah,
say this, but Harbaugh and Jackson
go.
got to be in that conversation, man. I don't know how
Oh
he
no,
does it.
yes, 100%, one
I don't
hundred
know how he
percent.
does it. Everybody
Harbaugh,
knows
yeah,
what's going to happen. It's going to be
yep,
a play action or a read option,
yep.
and you just can't stop it. It's like when
You
they
can't.
when Chip Kelly brought the speed option and the read option the first year with the Eagles.
Yep,
He thrived on it. Obviously,
yep,
they ate it up the next year, but
yep.
they still ain't found a way to stop Lamar Jackson.
Nah, and that's like I seen. I think Harbaugh said he was like, "Yo, there's just great DNs. You can't block them. 2, 3, you can't block them." So they was like, "We just said don't block them. Just make them the read man." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, just make Von Miller, make Chris Jones, make Miles Garrett the read man, and make them pick and just go where they don't. Very simple. It was like, I'll be content. And so yeah, it's I like again. I still think the Bucks are there. I still think Dallas is a really, really good team, and they put up a stat that says anytime Dallas runs the ball more than they pass the ball, like 25-0 since Dak and Zeke's been there.
Sheesh.
And I think, yeah, and this is back to their rookie year when Dak and Zeke got there. Anytime they run the ball more than they pass, not yardage, just we ran more than we passed, they're 25-0. So like in that game, Dak only passed the ball 22 times for 180 yards, but they ran the ball like close to like 35 times.
Yep.
They
Honestly, I
controlled the yeah, they control.
I think
Yeah,
the biggest blessing for the Dallas Cowboys right now is Tony Pollard, man. Being able to
yeah,
have him and lean on him, knowing you can give him the ball 18 times to get 100 yards, and have Zeke
uh,
not have to carry the ball 20 plus times.
yeah,
But
100%, 100%. They got it. Teams have to run the ball. Same thing that Arizona did. They ran the ball. They didn't try to get in a shootout with them. They found a little formula. We'll take 3, 4 yards here, 3, 4 yards there, 3, 4 yards here, and we'll be good.
all right, man, let's talk
So,
about some of the surprising moves that happened today. First one being Stephen Gilmore getting released by the Pats.
by the
And
pass.
then them changing their mind and deciding to send him over to the Carolina Panthers, which if I was Commissioner Goodell, I'd have vetoed that. especially going into Week
Is
5 against the Eagles. It
I
just
knew
don't make sense.
I knew
It's
he can't play till week 7 anyway because he's on the
on a
unactive list.
PUP list. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't play to week 7 anyway. But I like when we was talking about it. I looked back and they was like, "Yo, but this can't be official till 4 o'clock."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Why 4 o'clock?" I think it's like something felt fishy. Like so then I was like, well, probably about 12 o'clock we'll hear he's already has the intentions to sign with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect a trade to happen, let alone for a 6 round pick.
And
But it's only
Bill
yeah,
gonna
it's
go get
only
those later round picks.
yeah, and it's only a rental too. It's only a rental. Like whoever got him was only getting him for this year.
Yeah.
Like you still have to pay him after this year. So
I think that was a huge move for y'all, man. I think that definitely moves the needle until you get to the playoffs. Me
yeah,
and Deuce was talking about it real briefly earlier. And I mean, you threw it in the chat a couple times. It's an interesting move knowing you got to make a move for your O line, but there's also some trade pieces that y'all have. Robbie Anderson, AJ Bouye. Which one of those guys get moved in order to bring in a better tackle, a better left
so
tackle, better right tackle?
So RGM, like this dude, like he talks like he has big nuts and he lets people know. And he said, like he was on the interview, he said, "Yeah, I called every team about linemen. Ain't nobody trying to budge." He said it. He's like, bro, he's like low key cocky. He was like, "I don't like my left tackle. I want a left tackle." Like this dude does like he doesn't play like he was assistant GM when Seattle built the Legion of Boom. So like he came in with the philosophy. And he was like, "Yo, I got something that I want to do, a philosophy that I believe in." They said we made 11 trades since he got here in January, like 11 total moves. Like,
Damn.
yeah, he knows what he wants, bro. He knows what he wants, and he said that he's looking for a left. Our left tackle wasn't even at practice today. Cam Irvin, like I never liked him. We never liked him, but you know what I'm saying.
You got to work with what you got. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gotta work what you got. He was like, yo, Cam Irvin thought he was gonna come be a good left. He was like, nah, I'm on the phone for another one. Like, you're not doing the job, bro. Like, you got paid. So
What foreshadowing do you see kind of with that Panthers O line and some moves for them to make coming up in the
what
next
I
few
wish they
weeks?
would, what I wish they would just do is just let the rookies play. How much worse can it be? We got Deontay Brown and we got Brady Christensen. Even though Deontay Brown likes to play the left side, and I know Dennis Daly's doing a pretty good job there. Dennis Daly and Taylor Motown's doing a good job. Like I can cool with them. And Paradis is actually fairly cool for me. But that left tackle position is just horrible. I wish they would just let Brady Christensen play left tackle. Just let the rookie play, bro.
Let him get his
Like I wish they
reps.
would just just let him because it literally can't be no worse. Like it just can't be no worse. You know what I'm saying? Because anytime that there's a time for you to have to make some left tackle money and just block a guy, you can't do it, bro. So you know what I'm saying? Might as well get you out of there. We got another rookie, Deontay Brown, the big old dude from Alabama. Let them get some minutes, bro. Kansas City center, right guard, and right tackle are all rookies.
All
You know
rookies.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? All rookies. Like, bro, just let them play, bro. Let them play
Plus,
and
I
let them
mean,
earn a check.
you got a mobile quarterback in Sam Darnold. You see that he's willing to
Yeah,
run. You see that he's got a pretty solid pocket awareness. For the
yeah.
most part. So I agree with that for
Just
sure,
let the
man.
rookies. Yeah, just let the rookies play, bro. Because none of us wanted F line. None of us wanted Cam Irvin. I understood why you took him because you didn't think you was gonna be able to pick up the exact people you wanted. They were like safety nets. Just move off of them, bro. Just let the rookies play. It literally can't be no worse. So
The other move out of Dallas was Jalen Smith. Uh, we've been talking about this. I think some of y'all have mentioned that in just in our own chat, just talking about Jalen Smith. If he gets outperformed, he's gonna get released. And it seemed like that's what's happened, man. That Dallas is pretty comfortable letting him go and
yeah.
riding with what they got. But I think the Packers are favored to sign him. But where do you see him landing?
But they said the Packers would be a good place. I think the Packers can afford that. I don't know too much about their linebackers, so I can't give an informed situation about it. You know what I'm saying?
He need to come to the Eagles
But
because
Green
our
Bay
linebackers are
always,
buns.
yeah, like I don't know too much about their linebacking core, but they always seem to get it together on defense. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? And
I don't
again,
know how.
yeah.
Like with some
Well,
nobodies
you
too.
got Zadarius a beast.
Yeah,
Alexander's a
Larry
beast.
Alexander back there.
Yeah, Alexander's a beast. I haven't kept up too much on Eric Stokes, so I don't know how well he's doing over there.
I don't know
But
why they paid Kevin King. They paid the
yeah, I
man.
don't know why you pay Kevin King. But again, I think Jalen Smith going over there, I think it's good. I feel like Dallas's move with Smith, now that I look at it, was kind of like Scott Fitterish ish. You know what I'm saying? We paid you because you were here. We liked you. We drafted some people who were technically going to replace you. The people
Mm,
who replaced you were doing better than you, so now you're completely expendable, bro. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Plus, I think it
And
helps Vander Esch is staying healthy
yeah,
to kind of be the leader of that linebacker core.
yeah. So now it's just kind of like, you know what, bro? You got real expendable when they got really good, and Jabril Cox is probably going to get a lot more burn now too. I think they want to see him get some more burn. So yeah, I just think it was just one of those moves like, hey, bro, we kind of crowded. They're here for the long time. We like what they got. I'm just gonna let you roll. You getting your paper though. You're still about to get paid. You know what I'm saying? Go get you another contract somewhere else and be cool. Uh, it is a very not assuming nothing, but it can be a very I'm starting to smell the roses on myself move. You know what I'm saying? Because if he was very vocal throughout the Carolina game. He
Yeah,
was the voice that they listened to. Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? I don't know how that's gonna be when you do that in the middle of that. You know what I'm saying? So
we'll see.
we'll
So
see.
while it's up in the chat, he said, this is our resident cheesehead expert right here. Devondre Campbell, the underdog, and Chris Barnes and Eric Stokes looks nice. Jair Alexander is out injured. So there goes your insight about the linebacking core over there in Green Bay. I think it'll be a solid addition over there. I mean, I stand behind the fact that the Eagles need that fool because our linebacking core is buns.
Yeah.
Um, any linebacker right now would
I
be
don't
an
know. I
upgrade.
don't know much about y'all linebacking core either though.
There's not much to talk about. Not much to talk about. I've seen a lot of, obviously we know a lot of these sports shows are going to focus in on the Chiefs. There's not much to talk about over there. Y'all beat the Eagles. You were supposed to beat the Eagles. You let them score 30 points.
They got hold. Hey, y'all. Hey, it's so crazy. Eagles got hold because my
Oh yeah.
dad comes. Hey, my dad comes over. I play the highlights for him. The Devontae Smith fade route on the sideline where they said he was out of bounds. It's so crazy because me and my dad was watching it, and my dad's a Chiefs fan.
He got
And
pushed
when he saw,
out.
and when we saw it, me and my dad both go woo. And that's a nice play. He wasn't even mad at it. And then when they called it back, he said, "Man, we got lucky." That I was like, "Oh, y'all got." I was like, "Oh man, y'all got hold, bro.
They
Y'all got
said
hold."
illegal touching because he went out of bounds
Because he went
on
out.
his own. When you can see the
Yeah,
corner force this fool out of bounds with an
yeah.
extended
That
arm,
was
I'm like,
that was bad. That was bad. That was bad. That was real bad. I don't think
we didn't
that
even
was good.
score. I think we ended up with a field goal on that drive.
Yeah. And my homie, who's an Eagles fan too, he was like, "Hey man," he said if we would have stopped kicking field goals and actually went for the end zone, he said that game was ours. He was like, but Chiefs fans are gonna hear this part. That's what they're gonna stand by. Bro, you're 2-2. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why people are trying to make the Chiefs to be out like you're 2-2.
They
You're
not
not
like
supposed to
that.
be 2-2. Yeah,
They
you're
not
supposed to
like
be
that.
4-0. You know what I'm saying? So one dude was like, well, our defense, like, look, the Eagles didn't punt. You know what I'm saying? Like the Eagles had their way with y'all stuff just the same way that y'all had your in the fact that I like Patrick Mahomes he leads the league in passing touchdowns, but a lot of them come at the goal line in sweeps and stuff that technically come behind the line of scrimmage. I think the NFL needs to change that because he's had about 7 to 8 of those every single year, and all he's doing is just touch passing behind the
All
line of
those
scrimmage,
shovel
and then
passes, yeah,
yeah,
to like
and they just if they
to
were if so one
Hardman, to
homie was like,
Kelsey.
yeah, one homie was like, well, what about a slant route? I said, that's in front of the line of scrimmage. These are tosses behind the line of scrimmage. I don't think you should be like, again, I just feel like something has to be done about that.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the whole forward pass rule, but like there got to be at some point where like those little not even a half yard, it's basically a handoff.
Yeah.
Like when you run the read option and you're handing the ball off forward, that's not a pass. That's a run.
Yeah.
So you gonna tell me that little
I,
shovel half a yard forward is a difference?
yeah.
One of the big games I wanted to talk about was the Brady Belichick reunion. Bala said, like Joey Bosa said, the refs are blind.
Refs are blind.
Refs are on some
Really are.
refs are real booty right now. But that Brady Belichick reunion, man. That was one hell of a game, man. Mac Jones showed out as we knew he would. A lot of people, I'm not gonna lie, I fell into the whole Brady's gonna go in there and blow him out. But then after the first quarter, I was like, Brady's not gonna blow him out because there's nobody that knows Brady better than Belichick. He had
Yeah,
the perfect game plan together. I've
yeah,
never seen that many defenses thrown at any quarterback so inconsistently ever.
yeah, yeah. So it's, and I think the rest of the NFL should be very, very grateful that Belichick did that and that he did that in week 4. Because now you have, hey, week 1, remember, week 1, Pittsburgh beat Buffalo, right?
Yep.
I don't think none of us think Pittsburgh is contenders now. More film is coming out. Belichick found a way to frustrate Tom. The NFL is going to pick up on that. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Once you put out the game plan, the rest of the NFL is going to follow suit. And they're going to say, bet, how can we make sure we shut something down?
Yep.
That's why you should always wait a couple weeks to be like, all right, there's more film out on everybody. Your weakness is being shown. Your tendencies are being shown. Now we can game plan properly. So yeah, I wasn't ever too hyped on the whole Brady Belichick matchup. That's because I was like, yo, I think we're making something more than what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, Especially, I felt like that conversation was done when Brady won the ring and won the ring the year he left.
Should have been done.
Yeah, it should have just been done. Brady
But
left and won a ring immediately.
you know
You
how
know what
you know how the narrative goes, man. They can't talk about Mahomes because he's losing right now.
I'm saying? Yeah.
So who's the next winning quarterback that's still in the league?
They're trying so hard to talk about Justin Herbert, even though they know they just want to bail out and go talk about Mahomes. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like they just having a tough time doing that.
Justin
Once
Herbert's
Brady,
looking real good, man, against some
oh
really
my
good
God,
teams.
everybody, Dallas, they should have beat Dallas if it wasn't for the bad calls. You know what I'm saying? So I don't. We all know again, TTE Talks doesn't agree on much, but we are all very pro Justin Herbert.
Oh yeah,
That's what.
MVP.
Yeah, yeah. It's like,
MVP.
yeah, we've been pro Justin Herbert the entire time all of us have been together. That's one thing none of us have ever disagreed on. Is Justin Herbert is that guy. And they're struggling with their lives to move off of this and realize just how good this dude really is. You
Like
know what I'm saying?
this man is in year 2, and I had him at the beginning of the season being our MVP, being my MVP favorite, and I think
Yeah.
he's performed the most consistent right now to be up there. He's not the MVP right now, I don't think, but I think he is up there in the conversation. He's got to be up in there in the
Yeah.
conversation.
If they win the Dallas game, he would be.
Oh yeah, easily.
Because if they win the Dallas game, then the Dallas narrative coming against Carolina is completely different.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be more of a contender game. It'd be more of a, can they redeem themselves? Is this somebody that we can see
Yeah,
as?
can Dallas
Or
save
yeah,
their season coming
yeah, save
in?
their season. So the narrative changes if that becomes the case. But we all know Justin Herbert is that dude. We all know Kyler Murray is that dude. We all knew Jimmy G wasn't that dude. That's why if you want real sports talk, mute the mainstream media and listen to TTE talks because we've been trying to tell y'all people this stuff.
Come come through.
Yeah, we've been trying to tell y'all this. You know what I'm saying? They only can make so much. You got all these people in the building. I don't want to go too much, but like you got all these people. You can't pay to get better research, and we do this, and we got jobs and kids and families. You know what I'm saying? And
And
we
all
get
we
the
do is
ability to,
pull up 2 or 3 websites and get all the research done that we need
yeah,
to.
like
Like
yeah, y'all out of pocket, bro. Y'all out of pocket. Y'all be
Seattle
better than that.
Seahawks saved their season. How impressed were you with their performance or not impressed with their performance? It is the 49ers. The 49ers are prone to do what they do. Jimmy G, I think they told this man to fake an injury. Like, look, Jimmy, fake an
Think,
injury.
man.
We need Trey Lance in there to see. We got to get a look at Trey.
So one thing that just gets me about Seattle is Colin says it all the time, like the last 4 weeks, and I was like kind of fighting and pushing back on it. But then I have to accept it. What does Seattle do great that doesn't have Russell Wilson attached to it?
Nothing. Can't run the ball
So,
consistently.
oh yeah, but Russell's 9 touchdowns,
Defense is butt.
0 picks, 9 touchdowns, 0 picks in 2 games that he lost. That he was both up 10 points at one point in time in that game. And
That's
you're
all.
like,
That's all
and
defense.
yeah, so you're just like, what is y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is y'all really doing? Like, you're about to really ruin Russ. Well, I'm not gonna say ruin him because if you could have ruined him by now, you would have. But like this dude's he's gonna sustain you. He's your Damian Lillard in Portland. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh. Ooh.
He's gonna make sure you're never as bad as you should be because as an organization and as a
Ooh.
coach, you don't want to do what you're supposed to do to make sure this dude. Russ should
Let's
have
let's
three.
let's call let's call
Russ
him
should have
Giannis.
3 rings after this.
Let's call him Giannis because Giannis already got one. But let's be
Yeah.
real, man. The scenario was perfect. The situation was perfect. He had the best defense. He had some young guys. Curse at the time was balling out. Doug Baldwin, beast mode. Situation was perfect.
Yep.
I think he's more of a Giannis. He ain't going nowhere. As bad as Russ, made this offseason look and appear.
Yep.
I don't think there was ever any worry of him going anywhere, and I don't think
Never,
he
never.
will.
He's not. I don't think he's not because him and his wife own part of the soccer team out there anyway. So
Yeah, he
I
he ain't
think
going
it's
nowhere.
yeah, they're locked in. Seattle, don't Big Ben this situation because you don't have a Big Ben. You have the
Thank
chance to
you.
get. You have the chance to still contend and get rings, draft better, sign some quality free agents, offload some bad contracts, and go out there and get you some more rings, bro. But right now, Russell Wilson is keeping Pete Carroll from being Urban Meyer. The only difference he really is, bro.
Only difference
Pete
is
Carroll, Pete,
Pete
Pete
ain't gonna
Carroll
get
without
caught. Pete
Pete
ain't
Carroll
gonna get caught in the
without
bar.
Pete Carroll without Russ is 4 years out of the league. You know what I'm
Oh
saying? When
yeah.
Earl Thomas flipped him off, he would have been out the league, bro.
Oh yeah. That very next year they'd have been like, you know what? We want to move in a different direction. We want to get
Exactly.
younger. We want to do something else. But
So
I
like,
mean,
please, bro.
moving off of the Seahawks, you actually brought up a team that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. Who we've screamed at the top of our lungs since this man has been cut from the Patriots is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Swallow your pride. Go pick up Cam. Let Ben sit for a couple weeks to get healthy because we all know this man ain't healthy. He old. He takes one hit. He's not healthy.
Bro.
What is it gonna take for the Steelers to swallow that pride and be like, all right, we gotta call a Cam. We gotta call some of these other teams to go and maybe even go and get a Minshew Magic from Philly.
They're not gonna
What's it
move,
gonna take?
bro. I think they're just I think they're just gonna tank it.
That's crazy. They don't even hand the ball to Najee Harris more than 20
Which
times.
is
I don't think he's
which is
carried the ball more
yeah,
than 21 times.
which is a surprise because he was all of our offensive rookie of the year. We thought he was gonna get fed.
You draft
Ain't
the you
heard a
draft
word
the
yet.
running back as high as they have.
Ain't heard a word from the receiving crew that's always on talking. You ain't
Deontay
heard nothing from
Johnson, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith Schuster. Delete your TikTok and go score some touchdowns, man. Like,
him. Life ain't sweet, baby. I don't know. They don't. Big Ben, man. You got caught up in a contract. You made the decision to stay through. The only thing that's gonna change that, I really think, is Mike Tomlin just has to publicly say, "I don't want this man." But Mike Tomlin, he's his last couple of interviews have been, "We're not gonna hit the panic button. We're gonna do what we can and coach as a team." And Mike, just say you don't want this man,
that's all you
and
gotta
they're gonna go,
say.
"Yeah, just say you don't want him, bro. Just say you don't want him." I don't think you got to save face in Pittsburgh, bro. They love you. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you have to save face. I just think you say, "Y'all, I could win if I had a different quarterback."
You
Bet, let
brought
me
him a
go
couple
find
Super
you one.
Bowls, man.
Yeah, like bet, let me go find you one then.
All right, man. Wrapping up the NFL talk before we get into the Western Conference talk and the NBA. What coaches do you have on a hot seat after week 4? We'll do this again in like week 8, week 9. We're
Oh
4 weeks
God, bro.
in. Where's that hot seat at?
I see.
Who's sitting uncomfortable in their seat right now?
You talk about Jimmy G faking an injury. Urban Meyer finding the sungles. He's got to go, bro. Urban Meyer's got to go, bro. That
Oh
man got to the
man.
NFL, found out it was real, and said, "I gotta get up out of
Oh man.
here, bro.
I
I
think
gotta
it
get
was
out of here."
who was he talking to? I think he was talking to like one of the 49ers coaches. He was like, it's like we're playing Alabama every week. I'm like, I saw it on a mic'd up, and he was just like, he's like, yeah, how you liking the NFL? This and that. He was like, yeah, it's great, but man, it's like we're playing Alabama every week. I'm like,
Nah, oh my. And
what?
this is
What?
when you should, this is when self awareness is the best thing. Know your lane, stay in your lane, flourish in your lane, bro. You got outside of it. Urban, get up out of that, man. Urban, I wouldn't be shocked if they should have just let his behind go. You
They
know what I'm
should
saying? I mean,
have.
hey, like, hey, if you know what, even if like, look, if that's how y'all get down, get down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't even gonna judge your life, my guy, but clearly you is not ready to coach in the NFL, bro. So K, there's a USC job waiting on you. Go over to USC, do your thing, bro.
Man, I think he takes that job. I think at the end of the year, he looks at his team and he realizes Trevor Lawrence ain't that dude, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm coaching a bunch of grown men.
Oh, Fowler said it. Mike Zimmer.
Oh,
Mike
Mike
Zimmer's on the
Zimmer.
hot seat. But is so Mike Zimmer is on the hot seat, even though they are a couple plays short of winning a couple games.
Mm-hmm.
But this can't become the story for Minnesota, though, man. Like again, if I keep running into this wall and this guy can't get it over for me, I just gotta move on. Just time to move on, bro.
Mike Zimmer and Kirk gotta go.
They would have been got off Kirk if they could have got off his contract, but they can't get off his contract. Nobody will take his money.
That's what you get when you pay a guy like that much money.
Let me see if there's anybody else I could think of who should be on the hot seat. Uh, Matt Nagy saved his hot seat by
Man,
finally just saying, "Yeah, Justin Fields is going to start."
he finally
So
committed to Fields as a
yeah,
starting quarterback, regardless of the health of
finally committed. So
Andy
I
Dalton.
think that I think that might have just been the owner being like, "Hey, bro, no, you got to play him. I need tickets." So so yeah, Matt Nagy. I think beyond that, I think everybody else seems to be fairly okay.
I think what happens the next 2 weeks is going to put John Gruden in that discussion.
If John misses the playoffs, he's gone.
Ooh, he gone.
There's no need to keep him because Staley and the Chargers done shown that they here.
Man,
You're gonna clearly show that like you can't be past being the third best team in the division. That's always gonna have two contenders.
and
So
that
yeah,
stadium gonna fill up people in the seats anyways. That stadium is nice.
yeah. So yeah, Gruden, you about to go, baby. Eric Bieniemy, come take your job.
Ooh, he waiting too. He waiting.
Yeah,
You know he waiting. All right, man. That
yeah.
wraps it up for the NFL talk. We talked about this last week, but we'll get into a little bit more of kind of the, you know, the who's the contenders, who's the MVP guys in a couple weeks. We'll probably give it to like week eight or week
Yep.
nine when we have a good
Good
look at
view.
everybody. But in 2 weeks we'll
Yep.
have a good amount of football to cover because there's no episode next week.
Yep.
But hopping into, I think preseason games started a couple days ago to the NBA. We're gonna talk about the Western Conference after we
Western
covered
Conference,
the
baby.
Eastern Conference last year. But just as a whole, man, as a whole, looking at the Western Conference without getting into specific teams, how do you feel about every team's breakdown? Did the West get stronger? Did the West get more balanced?
So I think when we was going through and I was kind of ordering the teams and I was doing contenders, playoff caliber, maybe yes, maybe no. Better luck next time. Rockets, Wolves, Kings, and Rockets, Wolves, Kings, and
In the
somebody
Thunder,
else. And the Thunder. Easily better luck next time, right? Easily.
right off the
Better
bat.
luck next time. Right off the bat. Right off the bat. Hey, develop, find who you want to be committed to, get off your assets that you need to get off of. Better luck next time. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. You're already there. Everybody else was maybe yes, maybe no playoff contenders. That's what it was. And I actually think it panned out to 10 teams. Like 10 teams. So that was the entire playoff picture.
Yeah,
Everybody will either be in the play in or the playoff picture, except for the T Wolves, Kings, Thunder, and Rockets. Like y'all are good.
And that was a bottom four teams from last year. Actually, let's
Yes.
let's let's talk let's talk about those four, right? Instead of having to go through each one of those teams individually, we'll talk about those four as a chunk. That way we can get them out the way, save the the quality of the conversation for those
Yeah.
top 11 teams. But those are the bottom four teams last year. Was the Rockets at 15, the Thunder at 14, the T Wolves at 13, and the Kings at 12. I mean, we pretty much agree at them going to be better luck next time. What do you got
Yeah.
to see from each one of those teams and any specific players who have been added or drafted this year for them
Carl
to at least
Anthony
take a
Town.
step forward?
Carl Anthony Town should not be a top 25 player if he can't get his team out of a playoff slump.
Ooh.
KG with his Timberwolves was making playoff pushes. Carl Anthony Towns hasn't come close, but we keep pushing him into a top 25 player. You are just in the same boat to me as De'Aaron Fox. You're having career years, but it's not moving the needle of your team.
Ooh,
So
yes, sir.
how good of a player can I really call you if it's not making your team better? D'Angelo Russell, Minnesota. Why are you holding on to D'Angelo Russell? He's not moving the needle of your team. Now, the good thing the Timberwolves got for them, you got a perennial All-Star or NBA player in Anthony Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
If Anthony Edwards turns into this All-Star, All-NBA player, okay, maybe you two are a very, very good background, but we know for a fact you're not a good leader.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, develop. You know what I'm saying? Figure out Kevin Porter Jr., figure out Jalen Green,
Jalen
figure out
Green.
Sengun, figure out Christian Wood, because somebody's going to come knocking on your door for Christian Wood, come about trade deadline.
Yeah.
Somebody who needs them.
And
Figure that situation.
I was talking about a trade too for John Wall and Eric Gordon, two pretty big contracts that they have locked in for the next couple of seasons.
Yeah, somebody's going to come calling for Christian Wood. They need to move off those contracts, but again, it's contracts, bro. Like that's money. Um, Kings, trade Aaron Fox, bro. I'm just saying. Trade De'Aaron Fox, not because he's not a great player, he's not a great point guard, but Davion Mitchell's your man, Halliburton's your man. Give them this year to figure out the 1 and 2 together, and I think you'll be pretty surprised about how they compare together. Let Buddy go, bro. It's okay. Let Buddy Hill go, bro. You don't have to hold him hostage. Let Marvin Bagley go. You don't have to hold him hostage. Neither one of them have got you closer to a playoffs. Figure out your front office, bro. You got a lot of assets that can be moved around. Let Bagley go. Let Buddy go. You can always find another shooter that can get you 16 points a game. It
and,
might not
and
be as
and
cool
play
as
the same kind of
yeah,
defense that he plays.
and play the same kind of defense. So no disrespect to Buddy, but we all know you can find another 14 to 16 points a game from a shooter, but not that much defense. Let Bagley go, bro. You picked up Rashawn Holmes. You picked up Tristan Thompson. You can really change the fortune of your team by going to being a more half-court defensive type of team with the people you got if you let these
Oh
people
yeah,
go. Thunder, may God be with you, bro.
man, man.
I don't know what y'all did. I'm still watching Josh Giddey. I'm like, oh, he's kind of smooth. He's not the fastest person on the court, but he's always getting to the rim, which makes me feel like SGA will get moved because they've been very pivotal on getting picks. So I don't.
OKC just makes me scratch my head, man. To think just a couple years back, right? What 5 to 7 years back, we were looking at an NBA Finals team of James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Serge Ibaka, Kendrick Perkins.
You know what I think, Oos? I think the OKC Thunder guy is a lot like me. I think he's prideful enough to say, I can do it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I look at the Thunder, like when I look at the Thunder owner and GM, he moves a lot like how I would with the Thunder and the GM. Like, man, I can find these guys again. You're nothing. You know what I'm saying? I can find a generational talent. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like he's trying to do that to prove it to himself. Like, clearly they're not going to fire me. Clearly I got a home here. why not test out my skill and show that I can build another contender from nothing? Because one thing that he constantly said in the offseason, every interview I heard from him, he even said it. SGA isn't part of his timeline.
Yeah.
22-year-old point guard isn't part of your timeline.
Who's a year or two away from and an injury away from being an all-star?
So I'm like, one, clearly he's got the favor to be like, okay, I got time to, you know what I'm saying, to put some stuff together. But I really feel like he's like, hey, I could do it again. Y'all give me a little bit of time, I'll do it again. We take some L's, get some exciting pieces that keep people in the seats. Smaller market team. So we're gonna have to draft and develop. We believe in our coaches. Let's run it back. It's kind of how I feel like he moves.
Yeah, their team right now makes me scratch my head, man. Darius Baisley, Lugans Dortz, SGA, Josh Giddey. They traded for Derek Favors. Like I don't get it. I don't understand. Their team makes
Yeah.
zero sense. Paula said, when are they
Somebody,
going to take apart the Kings team? They need to fire Luke Walton
yeah.
first.
First, get rid of Walton. Figure out your front office. Because again, nothing's going to get fixed until you figure out your coach and your front office. But you have the talent right there. Like you have some really quality pieces, and figure that part out. The Thunder have the front office. The Thunder are doing what we're saying the Kings should be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, facts. They're like, hey,
Yeah,
all right, look,
yeah,
you can take SGA. You just got to give us some
yeah,
picks.
yeah.
That's tough.
So
That's tough. So
I'm
Kings,
interested because the Thunder played the Hornets, and watching Giddey, I was like, not fast, but he's always getting to the rim.
yeah.
He's not explosive, but he's always getting to the rim. I'm like, man, this kid, like, give him like 2 years, he might be that dude. He might be really, really
Very,
good.
very James Harden-ish. It's a slow motion, but it's effective.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a lot
yeah,
of wasted motion with him.
nah,
But
nah.
that's our bottom four teams of the West last year: Rockets, Thunder, T Wolves, Kings. That takes us into the Pelicans. The New Orleans Pelicans. We're gonna look at their key additions over the off season, and then they picked up Jared Harper in free agency. Nobody. Some of the key trades that they made was for Devontae Graham, Jonas Valanciunas. Still makes me scratch my head that they got rid of Steven Adams, but I think they're focused a little bit more on the offensive end. Thomas Satoransky from the Bulls, and then Garrett Temple from the Bulls. Some key players that they lost: Steven Adams, Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, and James Johnson. But those first three in Adams, Ball, and Bledsoe was kind of their losses. So interesting looking
Adams,
team this year.
Adams, Adams, Ball, and Bledsoe, very defensive,
Mm-hmm.
not floor spacers.
Yeah.
You have to space the floor with Zion. So to an extent, Lonzo is improved as a shooter every year, though. So I'm not gonna take that from him. I just don't think you wanted to cough up the money for him and commit to him. You have to have floor spaces with Zion. Building a team around Zion is really, really difficult
Yeah.
because you want him to play like a center, but you don't want to put him at center, which means you almost can't have a center like Steven Adams. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like you can't have a center. It's very difficult to build a team around them. They're very low ceiling to me
They made
because
a
even
very, very safe move, because
yeah,
I think what they're doing is almost preparing for when we got to pay Zion. Do we pay him or do we trade him?
I think if they got a king's ransom, they would trade him.
Well, for the sake of the conversation, what's a king's ransom for Zion? Saying a year and
You
a
coming
half,
off
2 years.
you coming off like four picks, and
Ooh.
they got high picks. That'd be high picks. I think they got to be like you got to come off like 4 picks.
Sheesh. Sheesh. 4 picks.
Yeah,
Zion Williamson. And my biggest problem with the Pelicans, man, is I'm looking at like their starting line is something like Devontae Graham. Josh Hart finally gets into the starting lineup, which he's been a six-man for ever since he's come into the league. I think Garrett Temple's there in the starting lineup. Then you got Zion and Jonas Valanciunas, right? It's a very underwhelming team. I don't think it's enough to get them into the playoff conversation.
play in.
play-in. They finished 11 last year, so getting them into a play-in. But I don't have a lot of
They're,
expectations for the Pelicans, man. They just
they're
don't.
very, again, it's just for you to have a quote unquote premier player, your ceiling is extremely low, man. Like the play in is the best that I could give you. Like, it really is. Like the play in tournament is 100% the best that I could give you. And that's with your two best players playing at all star level. All star level Zion and an all star level Ingram still only get you a play in the West.
I totally
Um,
forgot about Brandon Ingram.
yeah, and you're like, I know what Devontae Graham looks like as your starting point guard.
Mm.
And as much as people talk about him being a great 3 point shooter, of all the 3 point shooters who shot at his volume, he had the worst percentage. He doesn't have an ability to consistently get to the rim.
He
But
can't
now you got
defend the way
yeah,
Lonzo
he can't
defends.
he can't like your back court is Graham and Hart. Look at who you got to go against in the West backcourt.
Yeah, just off the bat, Chris Paul, Devin
Yeah,
Booker, like
you just
Russell
like
Westbrook,
you don't
Malik Monk.
exactly. So it's just as great of a talent Zion is and player is, man, he's the reason why I stay away from players like that. You just don't know how to build around them.
Yeah,
Like you just don't know how it like. And again, it's for me, it's not an impossible, but it's very difficult.
yeah.
It's almost
I think a guy like that, you almost have to draft him into a team that's already pre-built. They're looking for a number three, number four guy for him to come and develop. Probably said Pelicans' problem is spacing. It's easy to defend against them.
that's why you let go of Alonzo or Bledsoe and Adams. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you let those guys go because again, they're not floor spacers. They don't open the floor for you. Again, Lonzo's a good shooter, but he's not the shooter that's going to threaten people to be like, I have to stay airtight. I can help off enough. You think Graham is that guy, but Graham's like, you know what I'm saying? I just they treaded sideways to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't think they did anything to make themselves better.
that's them ending at 31-41 last year in the West with a completely different team. Let's be honest, right? The only starters they're bringing back next year and people that was on the roster is Nikhil Alexander Walker, Josh Hart, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram. That'll be an interesting looking team. Um, and I think Kira Lewis.
Yep.
Next team is number 10 Spurs. They were in the play-in last year. Let's look at some of their key additions and then key subtractions. I mean, there's not really much from the free agent market. They got Zach Collins, who was released by the Portland Trail Blazers. Bryn Forbes.
So if for them, I just had them missing the play in and the Pelicans moving up.
Okay, you just swapped those two.
Yeah, I just swapped them.
Yeah, I agree.
And I swapped
They
I
lost a
swapped
bunch
I
of
swapped them
pieces.
out of pity. I swapped them out of pity. I mean, you got DeJounte Murray, you got Keldon Johnson, you drafted Josh Primo. I'm just kind of like, I don't know what they're doing. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
they're like the team that when you look at 2K and you're like, damn, I gotta play with them.
Yeah.
You don't know how to
There's
score. You
there's
don't know how you're
no
gonna defend. I don't.
there's no player on that team that I could say if this one player broke out, it'll change the direction of their season.
Yeah.
Because there's not.
I
There's
mean,
not.
you got basically the same players, DeJounte Murray on the bench and Lonnie Walker.
Yep.
I mean, I like DeJounte Murray just because he's a little bit taller. He's a little bit more physical than Lonnie Walker is. I think his IQ is a little bit better as far as shot taking and things like that. But a very underwhelming team going into next year, San Antonio Spurs, man.
Yep.
Next team on the docket is the Golden State Warriors, who finished number 9 last year. They got healthy. We saw Klay Thompson out there in preseason. Or was I tripping? Did I see Klay Thompson out there?
I didn't pay. I'm not paying attention to no preseason games. I'm really not.
I mean,
I might like if you like.
just him being on the court is a win for the Golden
Yeah.
State Warriors.
I'm really not paying attention to no preseason game. Like unless YouTube says, "Hey, here's some highlights," then I'll click. But if not, I'm off of it.
But their key additions, they picked up Nemanja Bjelica from the Kings. Avery Bradley just signed with them recently. Langston Galloway had some depth. Andre Iguodala came back. Otto Porter, I think, was a pretty good addition for them off the bench. He said, nope, KT not playing until Christmas time. Okay, I was tripping then.
So that's the thing. That's the thing for Golden State with me. We since Clay's been hurt, we haven't seen 100% healthy Golden State. Even with Steph, even with Dre. We all know Dre's not a number two guy, but Dre's a perfect number three guy with Clay and Steph are there doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
The additions of Moody, Kuminga, Iguodala, Porter, the shooting guard, the one that you be talking about that was doing really good last year,
Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole. These guys are good enough to take your time to say, okay, we built last year. We got until Clay comes back to get better. Clay gets back between Christmas and March, gets heavy. We get our rhythm together. We don't walk. We might walk into the playoffs at a 7 seed, 8 seed. They're not going to be playing. This is the Golden State Warriors with Steph and a Clay that's coming back and some really good pieces around. This will be a 6 seed at worst team. This is going to be the 6 seed team you do not want to play in the playoffs. Because by the time the playoffs comes around, they're going to be shooting at 100%. Because now you done gave Moody, Kuminga, and we're not talking about Wiseman taking the jump. Everybody's talking about him being traded. Nobody's talking about what if Wiseman takes the jump? What if Draymond becomes even Wiggins? Like, what if Draymond clearly becomes the sixth best player on this roster because Wiseman, Wiggins, and Kuminga have all outplayed him?
That is going to be nasty.
That's a 6 seed team nobody wants to play. They're not 6 seed because they're the sixth best team, but when you get towards March, nobody's going to want to play Golden State. That's how I look at them. Nobody's going to want to play a healthy Steph, a healthy Clay, a thriving Wiseman. Again, we talk about what players can shoot up and change the trajectory of your season. A 17-point, 1.5 steal Wiggins, a double-double Wiseman, under 10 points Kuminga and Moody, and the same from Jordan. And this is a 6 seed team that nobody's going to want to play.
Oh, yeah. I think, man, looking at that team, I look at that team and it's scary, man. Dre missed a good chunk of games last year. Steph missed a good chunk of games last year. Wiseman tore his ACL or his MCL, halfway through the season or a little bit towards the end of the season. And they still made the play-in.
Oh.
They still was out there winning just off of
hobbled.
Yeah, just off of the bench guys. And I think the best thing that could have happened to the Warriors were those injuries last year, because you got valuable playing time for guys like Jordan Poole. You got valuable playing time for just everyone on that team, man. It's
Yep.
I think they definitely shoot up next year. Like you said, 6 at worst is definitely where I had them. I almost got them. They're definitely over 500 next year.
They're over 500, but I think we both know that there's those regular season teams who are just going to keep winning regular season games and run it up. Your Phoenix and your Jazz.
The Jazz.
Regular season games. Because they'll be healthy and youthful and they'll actually be hoping to win those games. The other teams are going to be doing what smart teams do, implementing game plans and development in season to be prepared when it comes playoff time.
But the next team on the line was number 8 last year is the Memphis Grizzlies. Very, very, very. This was a team that I've been talking about for the last ever since the offseason. Ever since the offseason started, this team was a couple injuries away from making it past the first round of the playoffs. John Morant, Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr. was playing last year after being injured most of the year. So they were playing on about like a 60-70% Jaren Jackson Jr. They had Jonas Valanciunas at the time, which I think they got better bringing in Steven Adams, because now you have a defensive anchor. knowing that
Yep.
you're gonna bring Triple J back without injuries, he's gonna be healthy.
Yep.
That's your scoring big right there.
Yep.
I think these guys move up to like a seven seed, a six seed. But I
Yep.
struggle to see who I'm gonna bump down. They definitely are in the
I
play-ins
can
though.
tell you who I'm gonna bump down. I can tell you right now who I'm gonna bump down. I'm bumping the Clippers down because they are not sustainable without Kawhi to win in
Ooh,
the regular season. That's why I didn't mess with Memphis because Clippers can't sustain a regular season record without Kawhi.
ooh.
So the Clippers better hope that they make the play in with Lillard 100% and become who they normally are. But you're telling me you're going to miss majority of the regular season without Kawhi? Your record's not going to be the same. You're going to drop. A Memphis team is going to rise. A team, three teams that were under you are going to rise up. You're going to drop, and you're going to be asking yourself, just hold on and make it in until Kawhi gets here. You're
You
going to
don't
be
think we
holding on for
see
dear life.
MVP Kawhi or MVP PG
No.
with the Trey man with the Terrence man
Mm-mm,
that had a pretty good
mm-mm.
postseason?
MVP PG isn't coming back like that. I don't think there's a world where I don't think there's a world where Paul George plays his absolutely best basketball that changes everything that team can be. It's just the Pacers all over
That's
again.
interesting.
Yeah, it's just the Pacers all over again, but you're not in the East. You're in the West.
Ooh,
There's way better
that's a
teams.
drop for them. So they're gonna go from number 4 to number 8.
Yeah,
But
and Memphis is probably going to stay around where they are because you dropped, and because
okay,
Golden State's coming up because they'll be healthy by the time.
that's true. So they'll probably be sitting
But
around
if you
number
make
7.
yeah, but if you make it to the playoffs and your team's playing good and you got Kawhi, you're still a legitimate threat. Contender, up for grabs. Threat, yes.
The Clippers'
I
biggest
wouldn't.
problem, which is always the Clippers' biggest problem, is they have no interior. Zero. Zero.
Exactly.
Ivica Zubac
I
is not
don't
it. Serge Ibaka is not it. Not gonna fix
exactly, and I don't
anything.
think I don't think I don't think having no interior is sustainable success throughout the course of a regular season. You're
All right,
gonna
man.
have a lot of you're
That's
gonna
it.
have a lot of ups and downs with wins and losses because of that.
That takes us to the number 7 Los Angeles Lakers. Key additions, man. Malik Monk, Kendrick Nunn, for some depth. Obviously, Russell Westbrook in that trade for Kuz, KCP, and Trez. Brought in
Yep.
Carmelo. Brought Dwight back. Very, very interesting looking team. They signed DeAndre Jordan in the offseason. I
AD,
got us moving up.
I get to talk about the Lakers because it's not my team, and then you can back up off of me. AD better buy Russell all the Gatorades and lunch and steak that he wants. Bringing Russell to the team says, AD, you don't have to play your hardest during the regular season. We don't give a damn where our seating is. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Lakers fan. I don't give a damn where I'm seated at. I just need to get there because I don't think any team at 100% playing the Lakers can beat us in a 7-game series. But AD, you unibrow mother sucker,
Oh
when
my
we get
goodness.
into the playoffs, you better be the best player on the court. If you're not the best player on the court, we can't play. I don't think we could like you make LeBron have to be LeBron, and I should have traded your punk behind when I had the chance.
Thank you.
If
I
AD
don't need to say
listen,
anything.
listen, AD doesn't have to do nothing in the playoffs. We know Russell at minimum and LeBron at minimum by themselves will get you to the playoffs. AD, you don't have to do nothing in the regular season. When the playoffs start, you need to be the best player in the league, hands down. When the playoffs start, we only need you for 20 games max to be the best player in the league. If you can give me a 20-game stretch where you are the best player in the league, we get a ring, we get to go home. If you don't, I'm shipping you somewhere else, bro. I don't need you anymore.
Yes. Yes. All of that. All of that. AD has been our biggest problem. We talked about this with the bubble championship. The biggest blessing was COVID. Only reason we won. Because if not, if we played those additional 30 games that were left in the season, AD would have got hurt. We would have been done.
No.
The AD that we need is the AD that was willing to go and switch onto Jimmy Butler after Jimmy Butler lit us up for 40 plus and triple double and shut him down.
Yeah.
Everything you said is exactly what it is.
AD only has to play with this Lakers team like 25, 28 minutes a night. How up
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
25, 28 a night. Go sit down. Stay in shape. Stay in the best shape possible. Because when the playoffs start, you have to be the best player on the court. LeBron can't be the king no more. Russell can't be Mr. Triple Double, which they both will be. But if you are the best player on the court, no matter who we're playing, there's no team that's going to compete. But if you're by far average AD, you're going to struggle, bro. We're going to see some unnecessary 6 and 7 games where you're going to run into a Warriors team that's playing at 100% and you're playing at 75 and we're going to lose.
Yep.
If AD is the best player for the Lakers in the playoffs, the Lakers have no reason not to win a ring. If Russell and LeBron are still your best players, that nigga needs to be shipped the day that the season is done.
Man.
Because I
For
got no reason to keep you.
ship that man off. I don't care who you get. Go get me
Yeah.
the second best player on the team. I
Yeah.
don't care who you bring. Bring somebody because AD ain't it.
I think but again I think on that end I don't think the Lakers care about seeding. So it makes me wonder how much they care about getting through. It should be no reason at the lowest they are the 4 seed because I just have a feeling that Phoenix and Denver and Utah are gonna go try hard in the regular season and try to win every single game possible that they can. So again, I don't think the Lakers give a damn what seeding they get, just like I don't think the Warriors give a damn what seeding that they get. I
Yeah.
just think both of them teams want to make sure that they're not in the play in, but that they're automatically in. And after that, I think they're okay.
Bold claim for me, man, is Malik Monk eats this year. He's the KCP. He's a younger
Yeah,
version of KCP, a little bit more
yeah,
athletic, a little bit more shifty
yeah.
on the defense.
He's really, really athletic. People don't know how like athletic that dude is. He's
I
really
knew him
athletic.
as a dunker before I knew him as
Yeah,
anything
for sure,
else.
shooter. Yeah,
Um,
he can
and
really shoot the ball, bro. He just has to. You gotta. You ain't put nobody's business out there. He's got a problem with what I'm saying, Tony Montana type stuff that they used to fight this dude in Charlotte with. You know what I'm saying? So like they used to be like, hey bro, you can't mess around with stuff like that. So as long as he's staying cool and disciplined, man, dude can literally backpack you some nights and drop easy 30, 40 balls. Extreme, like he's a really, really clutch shooter. Like he lives for clutch moments. Really, really clutch shooter, bro. He's a good player, man. He really is. Just in our timeline, it was just crowded, bro. We had
yeah,
Terry, we had Book Night. We had Terry and we had Book Night, bro. Minutes was up. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't gonna pay you. So
I think we got a viable option now that Caruso's gone and Kendrick Nunn.
uh,
I still can't believe we signed Kendrick Nunn. I can't.
yeah,
We got him for a bag of Cheetos, and we're gonna
yeah,
get everything that we got. Maybe not everything we got in Caruso, tangible wise, but scoring wise and defense wise, we're gonna get that same production.
yeah, yeah. Kendrick Nunn's definitely that dude. I think he just kind of got lost in translation over there in Miami. I think his injury and some people playing good in the moment took away just how good they might have viewed he
Tyler
was.
Hero.
Yeah. So again, it's just kind of for him, it's the luck of the draw. What looked like a bad moment put you in a better spot, bro. Eat up, get your money. You got the ability to stay and probably even sign longer after everything's done, bro. So make sure you make the most of that.
Next team up, man, is a team that is very pro TTE. Not necessarily a team, but more of a player. Is the Portland Trail Blazers. They finished last year at sixth, 42-30. I mean, I don't know about any notable additions for their team that make them better.
Again, they do what they do. They just content, bro. They're content. So they're too good to not be a 6 seed and up. They don't have the assets to where I feel like they could grab a viable person to run with
Yeah,
Dame. Ben, now that I look at it, is a bad pairing for Dame because I don't think Ben wants to play with somebody who plays that hard every night. Again, it might be persona, it might be how the media is pushing them out, but if you look at it, I don't think the Philly did get rid of Jimmy Butler for Ben. Y'all said so. I don't know if you want to run with a dude who's gonna be out there every night like that. Again, I'm
Philly
like
feel like
they
some
don't have the
dummies
they
for
don't have,
that.
yeah. I don't know. You're too good of a you have too good of a player to not be a legit playoff contender. But you
Yeah.
haven't done nothing that makes me believe you have the ability to push the needle outside of
Yeah.
everybody on your team playing the best basketball of their career at the same time.
They look extremely similar to what they did last year and the last 2 years, right? They swapped
No.
Gary Trent Jr. for Norman Powell midseason. Great trade for both teams. It's good to see Dennis Smith Jr. back on the team. Again, I still think he's the number 3 point guard over there with Anthony Simons coming off the bench, being
No.
familiar with the whole system. Cody Zeller, Tony Snell, some catch and shoot guys. But, like you said, they do what they do. They're going to get there. They're going to find a way.
Yeah.
But do you think Dame is there at the end of the season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if he was gone, he would have been gone by now. I think if
So
he was gone, he would have been gone by now. I think he's
is
there, bro.
is
I
there
think
any
he's there.
scenario that Dame ends up out of Portland within the next 2 or 3 years?
Portland giving up. I think Portland would just have to be like, hey, we're OKC Thunder GM, holla at a player. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me your ways, bro. I think Portland would just have to say, you know what, Dame, we're gonna let you go. I think that's the only way. I think Dame is there. And I think Dame is like Bradley Beal. Both of them are like, yo, I don't care where I'm at, I'm a hoop. And I actually like where I'm at because I like the place. But I think it comes down to the organization saying, we're gonna move off you now for our reasons. So
Do you think Dame ends up like a Charles Barkley, John Stockton, Karl Malone in those conversations with those guys with no rings at the end of
I
his
definitely
career?
think that's the trajectory of his career. He's a Hall of Famer for sure. I definitely think that's the trajectory of his career is sitting there and enduring that. Um, Again, I just don't. So Nick Wright said if he was Portland, he would move Dame for Jaylen Brown because he knows that Boston won't come off of Tatum.
I was legit just talking about that with Ballard the
Yeah,
other day.
he said because he knows for a fact that Boston won't move off of Tatum. You could probably get Brown. You could probably get a couple picks and some stuff and be able to just go on your way from there. Dame going to Boston, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Media
Uh,
contender.
oh yeah, immediate contender. Dame in Portland, you're kind of hoping for a Giannis situation. Perfect time, perfect injuries, team just playing right to get you there.
Jaylen
So
Brown for Dame Lillard. Jaylen Brown's also
yeah,
in the second year of his, I think it was like a 4 year, 108 mil
yeah,
contract. But he's going into a second year. I mean, it's a good trade. Get up off some cap, clear some space. Portland
yeah.
Trail Blazers. Next team, man, is the team that TTE is very people say that we're anti Luca, but I think we're just realistic Luca. The
Yeah,
Dallas Mavericks at
100%.
fifth, they finished 42-30. Um, Not really any key additions. They traded for Moses Brown, who I'm glad the Celtics got off of. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but they got Moses Brown. Josh Richardson is gone in that trade to the Celtics. JJ Redick retired. Um, Not really any additions over there that I'm looking at that I like. But Luca carrying the Dallas Mavericks in a Western Conference that's healthy, a Western Conference that's rebooted, and then the Dallas Mavericks team that is clearly trying to trade Porzingis, who is clearly your second best player.
um,
That makes next year the second best player if they do go off of Porzingis, Tim Hardaway
yeah.
Jr.
My Coke is froze. I forgot it in the freezer.
Oh damn.
Nah. So, oh dang. So, good thing about it is Lucas ran into Clippers the last 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
That won't be his issue this year because his standing should still be about where they're at now.
About the
I
five
think,
five six spot.
yeah, 5, 6 spot. Um, Luka's great. Luka is my contending favorite for MVP this year. He's gonna spam up the stat line, and I think the NBA is just ready to hand it to him, almost in a sense.
Yeah.
Uh, If you could get Porzingis involved, that'll be a good thing. But Porzingis is like 2, 3 years removed from that Knicks guy we know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, well, how much of that guy are you compared to how much of the guy you need to be?
Yeah, he's very much so an old Pau Gasol now.
Yeah. So it becomes a very difficult read. Again, in the NBA, it's a very good thing when you have a top 10-ish player on your team. You're going to be a good team. It comes what's around that. So I look at players like Jalen Brunson, um, the Josh Green kid they picked up last year in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
He's still around. If he takes a leap. But then after that, they got a new coach too, right?
Yep, Jason
Uh,
Kidd. You got Maxi Kleber still over there. Dwight Powell is your starting center. Unless you throw
you
Moses Brown in there.
Jason Kidd gets let go of Milwaukee and they turn into a 60-win team immediately. So I think Jason Kidd is as bad as I want Tom Thibodeau to be. So,
You think Jason Kidd took anything from his tenure with the Lakers that he can go and take over there to Dallas and Luka, or do you think he was just kind of over there doing his thing, reaping the benefits of having a guy like LeBron and a team like the Lakers?
I don't know, man. I used to think Jason Kidd was like that dude, and the more I'm kind of like, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. Like I try to give everybody a fair shot. So he has a clean slate. You have a clean slate again with a top player in the league. Let's see what you could do, bro.
yeah,
But again, I don't think their standings change. I don't think their destiny changes because again, if I'm looking at okay, Luka's gonna be an all star, all NBA type of player. Well, does Josh Green step up and become like a really, really good second piece? Does Porzingis step up and become what he used to be? Like, what players am I looking at around Luka that I could say, if this guy plays really, really good or better than he did last year, how much better does it make that compared to the people that they're gonna play? And I just don't think it makes him good enough.
yeah. I mean, I can't get away from Tim Hardaway Jr. being the second best player on that team, right? Like
Yeah,
that, you paid the man, keep him over there. I still got them falling from six to anywhere from the six to the eight spot, just because I think the Grizzlies make that leap. Portland's always going to do Portland. Dame is going to play hard every single night.
that's you know that's very logical. Like I wouldn't disagree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. Because if you're gonna tell me Hardaway, Porzingis, and Green are all playing the best basketball of their career, it still doesn't compare to the 5, 6 other teams that's gonna be above them.
Yeah, and I mean
So
everybody's so enamored with Luka and what he does on an individual basis. You
yeah,
look behind Luka, there's not really a lot of depth there.
nah,
Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith is your forward over there. Like Maxi Kleber is your backup center or your backup four guy. Like I'm not confident when I look at that bench and I look at that team and say,
I'm not either.
yes, y'all could do it.
I'm not either. I'm not. And you're not allowed to have that when you have the competition that you have in the West.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to have that. You have to have better than that.
I mean
That's why I
that's
said
where people's feelings get involved around Luca being as amazing as one thing I need to make clear is I'm not saying Luca's a bad player. Luca is a generational talent, absolutely.
yeah.
But he
Yeah,
just
he
he
is.
just so happened to get dropped in the middle of a generational talent NBA talent field NBA right now. Like,
So I just had to wipe that up. For Luca to win a ring, it would have to be just like how the Mavs won their last one. You would literally need 9 guys playing the basketball of their careers
yep,
at the right time. Because we all say that Mavs team as a team was extremely underrated. Because you had 9 guys who all played their best basketball of their careers at the same time to win. That's what we're asking the Mavericks to do to help Luca. And I even think if that's possible, it's not enough to beat the teams that's ahead of them.
yep. Especially going into the playoffs, man.
Yeah,
Especially going into playoffs. And if for some outwardly reason you get out the West, You're going to be standing in front of a Brooklyn team, or for some reason a Bucks team, maybe even a 76ers team, depending on what that trade looks like.
Yeah.
You just ain't ready to play against.
No. No.
All right, man. It takes us to the Clippers, and I think we kind of covered the Clippers a little bit, talking about them falling and almost swapping spots with where the Warriors currently finished last year at number 9 and fighting for
Yeah.
a play-in spot. But looking at their roster
They
right now,
have
man, they're not
they
very
have
attractive.
two people who I'm excited about, but they're young. One is Brandon Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Good, but Brandon Boston is very Paul George-ish built. Uh, who was the other rookie they drafted?
Keon Johnson.
Keon Johnson, another athletic wing type of player. Uh, two people who, again, I don't try to put that much pressure on rookies because your expectation should really be zero. You should be allowed to do what you're gonna do. But again, because you're missing Kawhi, and because I don't like what you have on your interior and your point guard play, I just think you're gonna be constantly fighting to stay in that play-in range and fighting for dear life until Kawhi gets back.
Yeah. I think the thing that's going to benefit them is the fact that they're going to be fighting against the Spurs, the
Yeah,
Pelicans, teams that really ain't got that star power to push them over the top. I mean, their point guard right now is Reggie Jackson. I think Terrence
yeah,
Mann had a huge playoff series over there against the Jazz, and I think hopefully he's an emphasis of the team going into this year. Right there with Reggie Jackson, right there with Paul George. But I agree. I'm interested to see what Brandon Boston and Keon Johnson does if they even give him some play. Right? They got
yeah.
Eric Bledsoe, who they traded from the Grizzlies. I don't
Like
know
it's
where
like
he
it's,
fits in
it's
this
like
team, bro.
like this is like his sixth time with the Clippers. Like
Man, that man's been with the Clippers from Lob City. Got traded
man,
away, came back, got
man,
released, came back in the trade. Like,
couldn't get enough of me, could you? Couldn't stay
man,
away.
I just don't know where he fits with this team. Like, it doesn't make sense. You pay Reggie Jackson all this money to stay there and be your starting point guard. I know you're
The
not going to take
crazy,
minutes away
the
from him to
crazy
put.
part is the Clippers could walk out with a lineup of Jackson, Johnson, Man, PG, Boston, and whoever they want to put out the five, and be like, we're just gonna be interchangeable. Yeah, anybody's gonna hold anybody except our big man, because all of these guys are 6'5", 6'7" guys with length who could just switch off and around people. So it's clear that they have a type of player I feel like they like. But again, your team hinges on waiting for Kawhi. So
Which is crazy to me because all right, people gonna hate me. People gonna hate me for saying this. I don't think Kawhi moves the needle far enough anymore to make you that much better. And I think that ended his first season. Not even that. I think that ended before he got to Toronto. I think Toronto would have won that chip without Kawhi
I don't think
if
Toronto
they
would have
kept
won if
DeRozan.
Golden State was healthy.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm looking at it like if y'all would have kept DeRozan in that same situation,
Yeah,
I think y'all still win the chip. Y'all just got extremely fortunate that
yeah,
KD tore his Achilles and he was out for the first 3 games of that series anyways.
yeah,
Klay Thompson tore his ACL in that closeout game,
yep,
and you just had to face Steph and Dre.
yep.
And I just
That-
don't believe that Kawhi is that good to move you from kind of a contender to a contender. Like, I'm not going to put him in the LeBron KD conversation where you take one of those guys and put them on any team, they're getting to
yeah,
the playoffs, they're going to make noise.
yeah,
So I don't believe in the Clippers. Even
yeah.
when
That's why
Kawhi comes
I think
back.
they take the drop off. Yeah, I think they take the drop off. There's always a team that has to drop off, and they're my choice to make the drop off.
Cool. Next team is the number 3 team holding the reigning MVP of last season, Nikola Jokic with the Denver Nuggets. Biggest signing for them was actually Jeff Green, I think. Um, yeah, they lost McGee in that trade with the Sun, or he signed with the Suns. They lost Paul Millsap, who went and got even older over there with the Brooklyn Nets. Makes no sense. Um, Huge pickup with Jeff Green. Other than that, they're bringing pretty much everyone back. Jamal Murray's coming back healthy. They signed KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr. Oh no, not Kevin Porter Jr.
Michael
What the hell is
Porter.
it? Michael Porter Jr. MPJ to a huge extension. They signed Aaron Gordon to a huge extension. They got a whole lot of
Crazy.
contracts just sitting there.
Yeah, yeah, they're a good team. One of my teams that I consider a contender. One of my teams that is, if I say, if Michael Porter Jr. becomes your second best player on the team, but Jamal Murray plays at the level that we know, you become very, very, very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jeff Green's gonna come in and he's one of those championship piece players that we know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I'm out on Aaron Gordon. I'm not out on him being a good player. He's a good player. I'm out on him being a great player. So that's over with for me. Hey, you kind of think about it. There is a world where you could run a lineup of Murray, MPJ, Green, Gordon, and Yoke. There is a world where you can say, hey, this is how we're gonna run it. Um,
Ooh.
they're definitely one of my contender teams because they have shown the ability to, in a sense, be as healthy as they can to get to the playoffs. So yeah, they're there. Jokic, that dude, he doesn't allow your team to be bad. Um, MPJ is who my eyes is on, and just Murray staying healthy. If those three can stay healthy, then I can say, okay, you're a contender like team that I can see. I wouldn't be shocked if you're in the conference finals.
Are you going to fear them as much as you fear a healthy Warriors team? Knowing that they have the chemistry, they've built up
No, absolutely not. I don't
three
even know why I
years
thought
of.
about that. No, 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 no. A healthy Warriors team with an MVP Steph, I wouldn't sleep over. A healthy team with a MVP Jokic, I ain't gonna trip. I'm not gonna trip. The MVP Steph and the MVP Jokic are two different players to me.
Cool, cool. That puts it into perspective a little bit. The Phoenix Suns, West, they made it all the way to the NBA Finals last year. Situational, but you play who's in front of you. They beat the teams in front of them. Got to the NBA Finals, lost to the Bucks in seven. In seven? In seven.
Six.
Six. Oh,
Six.
six. Lost to the Bucks in six. Um, Before we even get to the roster, right? There was a report that came out earlier that their contract extension stalled with Aiton because they do not want to pay him what his peers of that class was paid. That to me has me extremely dumbfounded. You do not find bigs in this NBA as versatile as DeAndre Ayton. He's not your all NBA guy because you got a Booker, you got a Chris Paul. He plays his role extremely efficiently. I think
Yeah.
he could be an all-star guy if he was placed in the situation to be that guy. I always compare him to a David Robinson as well as everyone else has. But I scratch my head at the fact they are hesitant to pay this man. I don't know
Two,
what the
3 years.
logic
Okay,
is.
okay. Let's ask this then. 2, 3 years down the line, is eight in the top three big?
We're looking at Yoke, Embiid,
Mobley.
Mobley. I don't even know if you put
Wiseman.
AD in that big conversation. Um, I'd say top five. I don't know if I'd say top three, just because that third is so interchangeable. The third is full of potential. That third spot is full of just potential bigs. You got Evan Mobley, you got James Wiseman, you got Jaren Jackson Jr. if you want to put him in the big conversation. You got AD, who I don't know if you even put him in the big conversation because of his reluctancy in actually playing big.
So there's a
Top five, yes. Top three, I don't know. Just because I can't clearly tell you who the top three, the third best big in the league is outside of Embiid and Yoke.
Would you be more comfortable to think that the Suns could repeat if the three was Paul, Booker, and Simmons over Paul, Booker, and Aiton?
No, I think Aiton still gives you the best chance than
So
what
the
Simmons
jury
does.
is very much out for me with Aiton too. Not because he's not great, but because committing that money to him, which for me, I felt like you should have moved off of Chris Paul. You know what I'm saying?
Totally agree.
I felt like you should have just moved off of Chris Paul because then you wouldn't have this conversation. Um, yeah, you wouldn't have this conversation. You'd be able to pay Aiton and probably even talk Aiton into taking a little less than what he would want so you can pay somebody else too.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult for me to say that the Suns could take that exact same roster and get that exact same result next year or the year after. So, but if you tell me that Aiton walks out here and becomes an all NBA player, then I'm like, all right, Suns is to be feared, like real life fear.
Yeah. Because one thing I was looking at, right, is last year throughout the playoffs, DeAndre Ayton was consistently the second best player on the court for the Phoenix Suns. That first best player was either Devin Booker or Chris Paul on any given night. But what I look at that logically is if Chris Paul and Devin Booker are going to be my best player on any given night, the second should be either one of them interchangeably. Consistently, it was DeAndre Ayton with 20 and 10 and a block or two.
If you want to repeat your success as the Suns, Chris Paul has to be the fourth best player on your roster.
Yes.
Bridges, Booker, and Ayton have to be your best three every single night.
And Cam Johnson has to
And Cam Johnson.
even bump out Chris Paul to be the number 4.
Yeah. Chris Paul cannot be your top two best player on your team for you to repeat getting to the finals. Chris Paul has to be the reason why you have a chance to get there. Ayton, Johnson, Booker, and Bridges need to be the reason why you make it there. That's how I would view it. That's why you don't pay Chris Paul. That's why you don't pay Chris Paul. You don't pay Chris Paul best player on my roster money because if he's the best player on your roster, your team's not gonna win a finals.
You got bigger issues.
We got bigger issues. That's why you don't pay Chris Paul that money. Man, if you want to be top 4, top 6 record in the West, playoff contenders for 2 years, fill your seats, satisfy your fans, and yeah, you pay him that money because you'll never be a bad team with him on your roster. So, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I think the Suns fall to like a bottom half of the playoff from like a 4 to like 6 range. I don't think they didn't get better. Let me just say that. They didn't get better. I think they got worse in a West that's getting healthier and better. Healthier, better, and younger.
100% agree with that. Couldn't have said it better.
So the next team, which is the last team who actually finished with the best record in the West, is 52-20, the Utah Jazz. There's really no key additions to mention and to talk about that really stand out for the Utah Jazz. They picked up Rudy Gay. They picked up Hassan Whiteside, who's very similar big to Rudy Gobert, to come and back him up off the bench. Eric Pascal was huge. I think that'll probably be the biggest notable pickup for them was Eric Pascal from the Warriors. They got him in a trade for like a box of donuts.
Yeah.
Utah Jazz, man. What are your expectations from them? Reigning Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert. Donovan Mitchell, who's I think is going to be playing at an MVP level this year.
Yeah. I think if Donnie plays at an MVP level, I can't see them dropping off from where they are now.
Yeah.
but I can't see them going any farther than where they went.
Still
And
a
I
top four
just,
team in the West.
yeah, still a top four team in the West with an MVP. Donnie be a top two. But then even when you get to the playoffs, I'm gonna look at you like I don't expect you to get out the first round.
Yeah, yeah,
That's just how I feel about him. And I'm sitting here wishing, I'm wishing they had another younger prospect there that I could say, man, if this dude gets it together, this is the roof. This is what takes off the roof. This is Donnie's partner who's gonna help blow the doors off of this thing.
like
And I
a
just can't.
Bradley Beal John Wall combo,
Yeah,
CJ Dame combo.
that's what I look at, and I just can't. I can't think of somebody who pairs for what I feel Utah requires of their players.
Yeah, yeah,
And which is, I think, sometimes maybe that's the reason why your team hasn't broken through. It's because you held so true to some of these values that we just usually assume the Jazz have.
yeah.
But yeah, Donnie should definitely have an MVP type year.
Hopefully, having Dwayne Wade over there changes a little bit of that culture in what the NBA in the what that Utah Jazz has. Not saying that they need the culture change, but
No.
I mean let's call it what it is. The best player on that team is Donovan Mitchell. The second best player on that team is Mike Conley. The third best player on that team is Jordan Clarkson. I mean, you could probably put Bogan Bogdanovic there being your third best player. Rudy Gobert. The Clippers showed what the Jazz were truly defensively in the playoffs when they attacked Rudy Gobert every single possession.
Yeah.
They made him not look like the defensive player of the year because they forced him to switch. They attacked him at the rim. Terrence Mann had 3 highlight dunks in 2 games on a Rudy Gobert that was supposed to be your rim protector.
Yeah.
I don't see it. They're still top 4 for
So
me
I'm,
though.
I'm like I'm mentally walking through the league right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what young-ish player with potential that I could say if they could get their hands on this guy to pair with Donovan, I feel like maybe not this year, but next year I'll be like, yo, the Jazz is coming to get it.
Jaylen Brown.
I don't think they have the assets to give him up. Because I don't think Boston's gonna want Rudy Gobert. And I don't think Boston's gonna want Boston could take Clarkson.
Mike Conley, Clarkson, Bogey Bogdanovic.
2 people that instantly came to mind. Cam Reddish.
Ooh.
I don't know if
Very
Cam Reddish has. I don't know if Cam Reddish has it on the other side of the ball like you would want though.
on the
But
defensive end, yeah.
yeah, but I think that's something in Utah with a year with Donovan can be brought into it.
Damn, Cam Reddish. I like that.
I thought about Cole Anthony because Conley's not going to be there forever.
Somebody somebody please save Cole Anthony. Utah Jazz, if that is you, please save Cole Anthony. I would love to
Thought
watch this
about
man here.
yeah, I thought Cole Anthony because Conley's not going to be there forever. So Cole Anthony will be a good pickup. Let the Magic live with Suggs and Fultz. Um, there was one more, and I'm trying to walk back through the league to really see if they would have got this person. Um, get off Rudy and go get Jared Allen,
Ooh.
or still go get Jared Allen. You know what I'm saying? Or still go get Jared Allen and free up some space over there in the Cavs. Trying to think of teams that I feel like have excess younger players, like the Rockets. Like, you know what I'm saying? Could you find a way? Because I said Josh Christopher goes to Houston because Jalen Green's in Houston, and you want to please your guy who you think is going to be a superstar. They're best friends. He's not a bad player. He's a good player. Take him. So KPJ for me almost becomes expendable if he doesn't have a really, really great year.
KPJ, yeah. I'd
Yeah.
like to see Cassius Stanley outside of get traded from Indiana to be put in a situation like that. Um, Even if he's bumped into a 6 man role, putting Jordan Clarkson in the starting lineup and then put Cassius Stanley in that second role. But what do you think it'll take
Because
to get
clearly,
Pascal Siakam to the
so
Jazz?
Pascal, I think Pascal is a floor raiser. I don't think he's a ceiling breaker. I think you getting Pascal says, okay, we're better. Are we contender though?
Yeah,
Pascal would be better than your Whiteside and better than your, O'Neal and stuff because he's a 20 ball. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
20 and 10 guy.
Um, yeah. So I don't really know.
Damn, that's gonna take some thought. Young players, excess teams with excess young players come over there and Cole Anthony is a big name. I'd like to see get out of Orlando. I don't know if it's
Part of me was
reasonable,
like, I don't like the pan. Like at first, I was like, well, let's get Fox the hell up out of Sacramento. But I was like, I don't like Fox and Mitchell together. I don't know how that works. Um, then I was like, well, what about Bagley? Can Bagley play a four? And does Bagley have that type of ceiling that we assumed as a number one pick, number two pick? Uh,
Jaylen Brown keeps standing out to me. Um, and I think the only reason that happens is in a 3 team trade. That also brings Jared Allen to the Jazz, either to the Jazz or takes Jared Allen to the Celtics. They have Robert Williams over there, great young big. But I think if someone had if the Celtics had an opportunity
something,
to
yeah,
offload
something's
Robert
gonna shake.
Williams, yeah, to offload
Something's
Robert
some,
Williams and bring in a Jared Allen and also bring a Jordan Clarkson off the bench, ship out Jaylen
some
Brown.
something's gonna
You
shake.
never know.
I like now thinking about it. I feel like something like a move has to be made.
But
Oh man, this is very interesting. It really is.
never thought
Thinking
we'd
about
spend
it,
this much time on the Utah Jazz. But
nah, because
I
like they'll never be a bad team. They'll always be a good team. Donovan, I really expect the MVP type of year out of him. But I'm like, man, what can you do to where we can sit here and say y'all could get a ring?
yeah,
And that answer to me isn't on that roster.
it's gonna take a small forward type player somewhere. I don't think you bring another guard in to complement Donnie because I think he does everything. Every year he's gotten better. And I think the next leap for him is just more playmaking, right? You can score the ball. We know you can pass the hell out of the ball. You play high energy defense. I wouldn't say efficient defense, but you play high energy defense. I don't think another guard is gonna fix what their problem is, like you said, to break that ceiling. But I think there's a forward somewhere. And Cam Reddish, when you said Cam Reddish, that was a great one to start with. But I think there's a forward somewhere that they could trade for, and it continues. Jaylen Brown just continues to stand out to be that guy.
So Jalen Brown is just that dude. But you gotta like, for me, I feel like to get Jalen Brown from Boston is you have to give them something that makes them feel like they're going to win a ring.
Mhm.
And I don't think nobody's willing to give that up. Another high ceiling ish person was Jalen Johnson or one of them forwards that's in Atlanta.
Ooh, Jalen Johnson.
Again, he's another like really high ceiling type of guy. You're like, he's kind of got all, a little bit of everything in his bag. I don't know.
You think they package something to send like a John Collins and Onyeka Okongwu for like a Jordan Clarkson and a Rudy Gobert?
I think that could be done.
And this is all just clearly fantasy talk for those of y'all wondering
Yeah,
where we're
yeah,
getting
yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah.
This this
Yeah.
this is us talking about the teams that mainstream ain't talking about because we like to, build these teams this way.
Yes, because there's more than six teams in the league.
Oh my goodness. Utah Jazz though. It's scary how consistently good they are. Consistently
Yeah,
good.
consistently good. And again, maybe it's their owner. Maybe their owner is cool enough with keeping season ticket holders pleased, enough to hold water. You know what I'm saying? Pay bills and to break bread on what you want to break bread on. But I don't think. I mean, D Wade expressed. If I'm right. D Wade expressed concern that he didn't think Donovan would want to stay.
Yeah, yep. That was his very first thing that he caught on when he first got here. And I mean, Donnie's saying and doing all the right things, right, to continue to keep Utah Jazz fans invested. But
Yeah.
who's to say Donnie don't leave and go to like Boston? Especially if they do get rid of Jaylen Brown and rent Dame for a couple years.
Yep.
But that's the breakdown of every team in the NBA. I had a
Yep.
quick question for you, man. Before we
Yep.
get into the contender, pretender, better luck next year. Um, Bradley Beal's last year on his contract is this year. He's an unrestricted free agent next year.
Oh damn! I didn't know
He's
it was
already
this year.
talked about, he's not worried about, doing any contract extensions. And the talk is he wants to see how the Wizards do with this current breakdown.
Yeah.
And will he be traded before All-Star break?
I didn't.
Because
I
we
didn't
know the
know this was
Wizards
his
ain't going
last
nowhere.
year. Yeah, I noticed. I didn't know this was the last year. I thought he had one more. Yeah, I think he's gonna get moved. Yeah, I think about it. I think he's gonna get moved because I think they're gonna sit there and find themselves be like, "Man, we kind of real life a 10 seed out here," and I'm like, you know what? Let's figure this out.
Is that the trade that gets Bradley Beal to the Portland Trailblazers for CJ McCollum and some picks? Or is that the trade that gets Ben Simmons to the Wizards and Bradley Beal to the Sixers?
So I'm almost after having this conversation and looking, I'm almost positive you need a 3-team deal now. I'm almost positive you need a 3-team deal. The problem is, I don't know what that 3-team. The 3-team deal for me has to give Washington one top pick this year. I think that's the investment. If I'm Washington, I'm saying I'll send Bradley to whichever one, but one of y'all two better figure out who's sending me a pick, and one
That
of
might
y'all,
be where you insert the Sacramento Kings
yeah,
with De'Aaron
one of
Fox
y'all
and a
got to,
pick.
one of y'all got to send me a pick. One of y'all got to send me another player that I find promising, and then y'all figure out the details from there. So I think that's how that works. Um,
All right, hear me out. De'Aaron Fox and a pick to the Washington Wizards. Bradley Beal to the Sixers. Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, maybe Tyrese Maxey or Shake Milton to the Kings.
if I'm Washington, I won't be in, and I'll send Fox to Philly. And if I'm
That
Philly,
puts Beal in
wait.
Sacramento.
Bill's in Philly. I'm so sorry. Bill goes to Philly. You know what? I think that might be the best that it's gonna get then. Spencer Dinwiddie unlucked out because now he's about to lose. Now he's about to lose minutes because they paid you, but they brought Fox.
Sheesh, might move him back to the two. All right, man. Let's get into let's go with our top two who are contenders. The other ones that are playoff bound, the pretenders that are going to be fighting for a playoff spot, and then the better luck. Actually, we already talked about the better luck next year: the Kings, the Wolves, the Thunders, and the Rockets.
Yep.
Let's go with who our top two contenders are for the Western
Top two
Conference next year.
contenders: Lakers and Nuggets. Lakers and Nuggets. And if I had to add a third, I would add the Warriors. But the only reason why I don't add the Warriors now because there's still the question mark of exactly how and when Clay comes back. So I got Lakers.
I agree with that. I'm gonna ride with you on that one. Lakers, Nuggets, with the Warriors close behind based on health.
Yep.
That is going to be. We'll call that our three contenders. Who's our playoff bound teams? We got the Jazz, the Suns, the Clips, the Mavericks, the Blazers, the Grizz, and the Spurs. Who the rest? The other 8 teams.
So four guaranteed playoff for me: Suns, Jazz, Mavs, Blazers.
Okay, so that'll be your 4, 5, 6, 7 seed. So 8,
Then you
9, 10.
Clippers, Memphis, Pels, and Spurs.
Yeah, I can see it playing out that way. I almost Suns fans gonna hate me, but I almost want to put them in the bottom half of the play-in, the 8, 9, 10 range.
There's a real world where that happens. There's a real possibility for that to be a thing too. But I'm giving them more of the benefit of the doubt that their team is still at base better than what they should fall under. Especially if I have the Clippers falling, I don't think they can take a big fall off either.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, man. Final thoughts. Western Conference in 2 weeks. We'll be looking at the NBA. I think we'll be going into our first game of the season for
Yep.
the NBA. We'll be in week
Yep.
6 for the NFL. We'll be able to cover week
Final.
5 and week
Oh yeah,
6.
man. One final basketball thought is Kyrie's about to work his way out the league.
Oh man.
Because people are really talking about like teams won't even entertain trades with him, even player for player, because they view him as a negative asset.
Yeah. Because even if you
He's
get
not
him,
gonna.
you're gonna face the same issues that you face that he's currently facing in Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's just not beneficial. It's not beneficial. But I mean, he's accomplished everything that I think a player could want to accomplish. I don't think he was ever the type of dude who was settling out to be the best ever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think he's good and content. He'll probably just pick up a ball out of YMCA and just keep hooping for the fun of it.
Is he a Hall of Fame player right now?
No. Unfortunately, I have to say no.
All right.
Because his resume doesn't have enough that doesn't attach LeBron and KD to it. And the parts that do, he's been hurt.
Facts.
And so
I think
so no.
the one notable thing he has, like you said, is attached with LeBron. Is that comeback from down 3-1? That's going to be like the highlight accomplishment of his career. Unfortunately, because he moved away from LeBron to go and kind of form his own path, and he
Failed.
realized that he wasn't that dude.
Yeah. Went away, failed, came back, got with KD, and in the redemption chapter, you've been quote unquote a cancer and injured. So it's a very bad send off.
Last thing for
Again.
me, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons. I have my thoughts on the situation. I don't care I don't care what Joel Embiid is saying. I don't care what Doc Rivers is saying. Y'all can say whatever y'all want. At the end of the day, for me, Ben Simmons, you are contractually obligated. You signed a contract to play for this team. You should not get paid if you ain't gonna show up and hold out.
Yeah.
You getting paid. Kwame Brown made a video on this. I don't know if you saw this Kwame Brown video not too long ago, but he was just like, look, Ben, you were losing out on hundreds of millions of dollars because you don't want to go to work with a coworker that you don't like. You play basketball, bro. You're losing millions of dollars because you don't want to show up to a team that said you can't shoot free throws and you cost us the game. Like,
yeah.
Where's the false statement in that, bro? Like that's what happened.
Yeah.
You get mad because someone's holding you accountable, and you want to go to another team.
Yeah. Which makes again, man, when it makes me self check on who Ben is, it just kind of looks like his attitude. So I don't know. I don't know where he could go to succeed. So
it's one of those where it's like, man, bring your ass to work. Come to work, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
100% agree.
All right, man. That's what wraps it up for the NBA. That pretty much wraps it up for the episode.
Yep.
No podium this week. I'm pretty sure we're gonna reach a point here in the next 2 weeks as we take a break next week. Where somebody's gonna come to the table with a podium, and I think that's gonna be in episode 18. I don't know who it's gonna be. It might gonna be you. I have a feeling it's probably gonna be you.
Yeah, there's a couple that's squirming, man. I just haven't. I've been so geared in on this that I was like, I haven't put the time to those things yet. I'm like, man. But once it starts, it just snowfalls. It's like, I got to get through this. So, we'll definitely see.
All right, man. Any final thoughts before we wrap everything up tonight?
No, we're good. We're good. See y'all back in 2 weeks. No episode next week, man. It's honor to have collectively got together as 17. You know what I'm saying? A well deserved week off. You know what I'm saying? For all of us who have put the energy together, whether we've been on or not, man. To get to 17 weeks is that's tight.
For
So
sure. For everybody out there that made it through the 2 hours and 20 minutes, man. Quick shout out to those TTE folks that are not here with us, that are not on the episodes with us. We got Cepha doing this thing. We got Deuce. Y'all seen him on a couple of episodes. Molly, who's gonna be taking a week off, couple of weeks off. Um, we got Christian. Y'all ain't tapped into this man's Twitch.
all of them.
Hop in on the YouTube. It'll be there. We got Kofi and Mike. These dudes are some crackheads at 2K. And they got some very, very, very bold claims when it comes to sports, man. Hopefully
Oh
one of these
yeah,
days you'll see these guys on here with us.
all the TTE fam, Malesi, Vic, Slim, Dre, even to those who HB, all of them, man. Even those who rock with us all around. You know, gaming gets you to meet a lot of people, man. We enjoy it all.
Yep. Shout out to all our folks, man. Hopefully we'll see some new faces on here as we get into the later episodes, man. But we appreciate y'all watching with us. Appreciate y'all rocking with us. TT, we out of here. We'll see y'all in 2
We out of
weeks
here.
for episode 18.
Let's get it, y'all. All right, dude. We out.